uh, Brandon, and Brandon said he'll probably be in here in a little bit. I have to leave at 9 o'clock, guys. Um, I'm joining another show on YouTube called, I think it's called TSS Philly or something of that nature. TSS Eagles. Uh, but they're a YouTube show. I'm gonna be joining them for half an hour from 9:15 to 9:45 to talk about this upcoming game, and then I'll be right back afterwards.
Okay, I'll probably have to head out shortly thereafter because I gotta get up at 2.
All right. Well, I appreciate you holding the fort down and being here. Then I appreciate that a lot. I know that we didn't do a live video at 6, but that was because I got up so early. I knew I needed a nap. When I saw your message, I was like, I got to take a nap.
No worries. Like I said, I'm sort of burning the candle at the middle on both ends right now. So.
But
so, Tom, did you get to hear Lawrence's interview yesterday on the podcast?
Oh yeah, with Stefan?
No. It was on an Eagles podcast.
No, I didn't hear it.
Okay, good. Because there's some questions he asked Lawrence, and I was answering them in my own head. And this isn't me saying you're wrong, Lawrence, at all, but it was like, most improved player and stuff like that. And names that popped into my head, I thought I'd like to survey the group and see what some of other people had thought, because it was sort of cool. Lawrence would name somebody, like, oh, I had somebody else there,
Yeah,
right.
But when I said something, it also, I had good points on why I picked who they were,
Yeah, no, like I said, I wasn't saying anything. Your choices were wrong. It was just different names popped up to me,
Really, even the last question,
which was about the needs most improvement.
Mm-hmm. No. Oh yeah. You had the same name I did.
No, the offensive line.
In general, in general, the offensive line. If I have to pick somebody out of that, needs to rebound the most is what the question was, right? And I was like, the offensive line in general, but if I have to pick a name, it's Ryan Kelly. So, man, what's up, Jack?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing,
What's
sir?
up, Jack?
I was asking Tom. I got a few questions about, we're halfway through the season now, and wanted to get your guys' thoughts as far as certain awards such as, most improved player,
breakout player,
comeback player, and what was the one?
Breakout player and player that needs to rebound.
Yeah, and I did agree. The whole offensive line, that was the one that you and I were like, okay. And whenever you went and whenever he picked, I was like, I like his better. and it was funny for like, okay, I guess Lawrence's most improved player was Paris Campbell.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that was my breakout player. Paris Campbell was my breakout player. Most improved was Zaire Franklin.
Okay, but my thing was for me, I thought Paris Campbell was my comeback player because of all the games that he's missed and stuff. Which I know what your argument is. You got to be somebody before you can come back, and I know that because we had that discussion after I had already heard it.
Yeah, you heard it, and then you were like, wait a minute now. Okay, I get it. Okay.
But, like for me, breakout player on the national media. Now, you got to understand, this was an Eagles, and I'm like Grover Stewart because we've all loved Grover for years here.
I knew, like he got some attention last year. Not a lot, but some, but I was very close to picking breakout for Grover Stewart, very close.
And then, like I said, it was cool to sit there and realize, as bad as things have been this year, to sit there and realize that you could find multiple points of view as far as positive and stuff. It was like, okay, it's not been quite as bad as it's felt like it's been.
Yeah.
It's been bad, though.
Yeah. But like I said, the defense is been amazing all year round. I mean, you can't win every down, right? I mean, you just can't because the other team they get paid too, and there are superstars on whatever team that you play against. So, like the Devonte Adams thing, where on the believe when Gilmore was talking about that, saying, Rodney asked him a great question. He was like, um, you know, you always come back no matter how a game goes. And when it comes down to that final play, if they go in your direction and it's like a big time moment, game sealing type play, 9 times out of 10, you make that play, and what goes through, what do you go through in order to do that? And Stefan was like, man, I live for those moments. It's those moments that make or break players. He's like, if no matter how you do throughout the game, you make that play. That's the play they remember.
Yeah.
You give up 200 damn yards and 3 touchdowns, but you make a game sealing play at the end of the game. They remember that instead of any bad that you've done throughout the game.
We may have sucked all day, but if we come out with that W, there's a lot better narrative.
I also loved what he said about being a cornerback, where if you screw up that one time and it goes for a touchdown, they remember that too.
Uh-huh.
So it's like the pressure that's on, that must be on him. It's amazing.
I just wish Gilly would have a little less humility and look for the joke, because, he said 9 times out of 10, and I just wanted to sit there and hear, after the whole Terry McLaurin, he said, well, that was my one time. I'm perfect the rest of your bitches.
Like well, I mean, I want my cornerbacks not necessarily to be have humility. I want them to be cocky and arrogant, because I want them to have 100% belief in themselves. And even if they have to speak it out loud for them to believe it, I want them to believe it, because if they don't, that's when shit starts to creep in. So you always have to have on that. You always have to be, in that mindset, especially on the field.
And I think Gilly, to me, I don't find him to be arrogant or cocky, but he still has that you can just tell he still has that inner confidence, which it helps to be, many years into this league and stuff, and producing at that awesome level for so long. But like you said, most of the time you want these guys to be your swag. You want these guys to be your mouthpiece out on the field. That's why
you want to be your.
He may annoy the shit out of me with his whole, persona on the field and stuff. But if he comes out and backs it up, keep talking your ish, my guy. Keep talking your ish.
It's why Jalen Ramsey takes a lot of shit, But if you go out there and you back it up, then that's everything.
Yeah, like Richard Sherman.
That's the thing.
Yeah, Richard Sherman.
Exactly. That's like Dion. Hell. But the thing about Billy, though, is he lets his play talk for him. He is quiet. He's very humble. It's amazing. I didn't realize how quiet he really is until, you interview him and you talk to him. But when he's out there, he's a presence. They know where he's at, and he lets his play talk.
Because Gilly is so quiet, right? That's the thing. When he speaks, he's really quiet, right? And in order for him to be clear on interviews like that, the Colts have to jack up the sensitivity of the microphone. And that is why there was all that background kind of messing up.
I thought it was cool, though, that he did the interview behind the Colts presser. Out there at the facility.
Yeah. Friggin' Hayden was there. I logged in and Hayden was sitting there, and I said, "What's up, Hayden?" And he said, "Hey, what's going on, Lawrence?" And I was like, "I'm glad you guys are able to do this with us." And he says, "Yeah, Rodney reached out." And then him and Stefan came up to me personally and asked if they could do it right at this hour. And I said, "Well, I appreciate it." And he says, "No problem," But he knew how quiet Gilmore was. And and you don't hear the background noise a whole lot during pressers or when he's like talking. It's when other people are talking, right? When other people are talking, you hear that. You hear it big time. I mean, you could tell the massive difference in between me and Rodney's voice when we're talking after Gilmore leaves during that video, as opposed to when he was there, because we didn't have that weird set, and I couldn't get rid of it. I tried everything I could. I could not
that
get rid of it.
that humming noise or whatever. Yeah.
The thing that impresses me the most about him was when you listen to him, how he studies film, he knows what that receiver is going to do before they even know what they're going to do. And he'll back off of them. He knows where they're going. He knows the route they're going to run. It's amazing. It really is. His
situational thinking, listening to multiple interviews with him now and stuff, his the way he really, okay, this is the situation, the receiver, this is his go-to move, and we were just talking, Gilly, this is very important in the clutch points of these games.
Absolutely.
Tail in and stuff,
right.
It's like he's so confident in his studies and stuff that he's like, I can already take choice A and choice B off the table. All that leaves me with is C, D, and E to worry about now. And stuff. I'm like, yeah, he is, to me, he's the closest thing I've seen from a defensive player outside of AWOC to a Peyton Manning on the offensive side of the thing, as far as just being extraordinarily studious and just really being able to articulate, in such a way that you're like, oh wow, this dude's playing freaking 4D chess and stuff over here. Everybody else is playing checkers.
He's one of those guys that has the physical talent, but on top of that, he's a lot of this. He studies films of individual receivers and sees and watches whatever he watches to kind of give him a clue as to what they might be doing. And like you said, Loyalist, at some point he can eliminate, A and B and just worry about, C.
Well, see, that's the thing about being a cornerback in the NFL. This is why I think Isaiah Rodgers didn't get the start. You could have all the physical gifts in the world. If you don't have it up here, if you don't have the film work and the intelligence, the on-field knowledge, you're going to get beat 9 times out of freaking 10. I think 75% of it is all up here and learning to be a cornerback than it is just God-given gifts. And Rodgers is starting to put all that together. I think a little. He still got beat. No one's showing it, but he did get beat in the game on Sunday. But he made a couple really nice stops as well. They're obviously showing those. But I don't want to be the guy that drops the video down and says, "Yeah, but look here."
I know he kind of looked like Gilly out there on a couple of swats. He looked pretty damn good.
You know who else did? Faison.
That one play, my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like, where have you been?
That play that Faison made at the beginning of the game was absolutely fucking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Isaiah Rodgers Sr. this year over last year, and I've heard it put this way, and it's the best way I can see, he's trusting his speed. He's allowing himself if to make a little bit more of an aggressive move early on, knowing that if he chooses incorrectly or whatever, he can trust his speed to get himself back into the play. And I sort of think of, back to where Gilly with that McLaurin stop. He had sort of got caught peeking into the backfield. McLaurin took off, but then Gilly was like, oh, got this. And his speed and physical capabilities got him in a position to still make that play a lot tougher on McLaurin than what it looked like it was going to be at first.
What I'm waiting on from a guy like Rodgers is for him to get his film study well enough down to be able to find those little dig routes, those little tells for wide receivers when he knows that they're going to do a dig, and then bait them into that, give them the 10-yard cushion on it. and then kind of back off a little bit when it happens. And when he sees that, the dig route's about to happen, break. Because that's how you get those turnovers. That's how you get pick sixes off dig routes.
Yeah,
you gotta bait them into it.
Right.
Quarterback's like, he's wide open, releases the ball, and then all of a sudden he sees his streak going.
Oh,
me
shit.
again. Damn it.
As soon as you see that quarterback plant that foot and just that back shoulder just kind of twitch, that's when you got to break on that freaking dig route. And by the time you're breaking on it, quarterback's already in his throwing motion. He can't do shit about it. By the time the ball's out of his hands, the quarterback goes, "Fuck, that's a pick six."
How's it going, Brandon?
I've done that. and you do see occasional, and I know as much as we used to trash poor old Ben Roethlisberger, one of the things that I saw him do more than once, he would be in his motion and fixing to gun the ball, and he saw that break, and you could tell because he was now the ball was going down, and he was just going to throw it in the ground, as opposed to making a throw. He knew he was in trouble.
Yeah.
Not all quarterbacks are gifted enough to recognize, quick enough to do that.
Yeah. Or even have the strength. They're already up. That ball's gone.
Oh,
here.
Yeah, most of the time.
Yep.
How you doing,
absolutely.
Brandon?
What's going on, guys?
Brandon.
What's up, Brandon?
Getting that energy built up yet, my guy? I know you've had a hard week.
Hell, he's had a hard month.
Well, yeah, session for school, right?
Yep.
Home stretch, 1 month left.
There you go. And then
Plus, next week barely counts because I got 2 days.
Nice. That'll be a nice little quick break for you.
And no lab, so that's the key part right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you say you spend in labs a week, time-wise?
At minimum 9 hours.
Yeah.
But it could go up to like 12.
Yeah, that's what's so
But
sad.
that's what you're in school for. So
Yeah, but I know.
still a lot of time.
Yeah, 2 labs are pretty exhausting because that's
yeah.
not counting the work that you have putting all the information together afterwards.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. When you have regular work, and then you have pre-labs, post-labs due every week on top of the regular work, and you got 3 of those plus 4 classes, it's a lot.
Yep.
This will be your last time having to take that heavy load, though, right? Because you did it.
I mean, I'll have another heavy load, but it won't be 3 labs heavy.
That's good. Yeah.
So, Brandon, did you get to hear Lawrence on the?
He ain't heard nothing from anything because he's been too busy. He almost didn't even realize that this was going on.
So what are those questions, Loyals? What are they?
Well, like I said, one of them was who would be your guys' comeback player of the year?
That's
Another one would be.
Well, let's go ahead and answer that one first.
I was just going to give them time to think about all 4. Okay.
Let's do the first one and then just go through. We could give people we'll give them time by giving our answers first. All right. So my comeback player of the year. Shit, who did I say my comeback player of the year was?
What's his name?
It wasn't Paris.
No, it wasn't Paris.
Right here? No, that's not comeback. Sorry.
No, it was Gilmore.
Yes, it was Gilmore. It was
Sorry, I was
Stephon
giving
Gilmore.
you time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, who the hell was it? Oh yeah, hell, we spent the first 15 minutes of this damn show talking about him. It was Stephon Gilmore. I mean, after last year, the injury, and he did come back. He played okay, but he wasn't playing at his level, and now he's playing at his level. To me, that's comeback player of the year.
And like I said, for me, it was Paris Campbell because we've seen little glimpses of what Paris can be when he's healthy. And then later that quarter, he's not healthy anymore. You know what I mean? This year, he's been healthy, and we've seen this evolution. You need him to be a chain mover, he's going to be that guy. If you need him to stretch the field, he can be that guy. And then last week, we finally got to see, and Lawrence has been screaming for this for the better part of a year and a half. You get that nice little crosser out, get him in stride, and Paris Campbell sits there and shows him, this is what it looks like with extra gears.
Right. But like I said, I couldn't go with the comeback player for Paris. As much as I love Paris, I couldn't go with comeback player because to me, comeback means you had to be someone before you can come back from it. And his injuries, his first 3 years, has prevented that. So
if you go with that definition of a comeback player, you have to be somebody and then come back to that. Then I would agree with you. It's got to be Stefan. But if you look at it like loyalist, I'd almost want to go with like maybe Kyle Granson. Last year, everybody was on him for the drops, and he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. And there was questions whether he was going to make this team this year. And now all of a sudden, look what he did last week. He had an awesome game. So it's a possibility.
Kyler's had a few really good games.
Yeah, he has. But Stefan, if you're going to go comeback player, that'd be, Stefan.
Heads up, Joe. We're just saying who we think the comeback player of the year for the Colts is mid-season. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, when I watched that particular play and said to myself, "This is what I've been waiting for 3 years or 4 years to see," and that was Paris. And I won't call him Hilton this time. To me, he showed potential at the preseason, his first year that we actually had a preseason.
Yeah,
and he showed some potential, and goes right out and gets hurt. The first half of the first quarter, or whatever it was. Anyway, and he got hurt the next year, and I know we've all. Loyalists. I know you and I and Lawrence have all talked about. I think we all talked to everybody about wanting to see Paris come back. Mm-hmm. So he's my comeback. I'll just argue it that way. Leave him alone.
He has came back from 3 significant injuries. I'll give him that much.
Yeah,
you could say he's the most resilient Colt player.
Him and Taekwon both.
I was going to say, Taekwon's like, damn it.
He's only got 2 knees, so hopefully that'll take care of it.
Brandon, your comeback player of the year for the Colts.
Grover.
Comeback?
Yeah, kinda. He hasn't. He just. No one expected this from Grover, what he's doing right now. And he's had consistent production, but it's not to this level.
Okay, but just
if you're going based off like injuries and stuff like that, then I'd have to go Braden Smith. He was injured last year, and the whole line's played bad, but that's a collective unit thing. I think he's played pretty well most of the year.
Except when he went into being guard, I didn't like that.
I thought he did all right at guard, but
I don't. I think that whole offensive line looked like dog snot all the way around in that game. But
what say you, Joe?
Well, I'm just going to qualify Brandon's answer by saying this kid thinks Kobe's better than Magic. First of all, so.
We'll get that question after we get done with this group of 4 for the Colts. I'll drop that one in.
Just saying. I don't know, man. To me, it's got to be Paris. I understand the case that's been made for some of these other guys. It's just like if you look at what he's been through and how long he's been going through this shit, to have him come out, be productive, and actually look like a number 1 option on an NFL team is pretty impressive.
It has.
Again, the production's not phenomenal or anything like that, but he's actually really, coming down the stretch, he's really starting to look like, he could be a game changer. He keeps on this trajectory. So
right.
Well, hell, it's week 11 and he's still healthy. That's
yeah.
Well, see, and that's why I don't have him as comeback. that's why I had Stephon Gilmore as the comeback player of the year, because Stephon actually came back. The whole Paris wasn't anybody at first, and you got to come back from something. I guess you could say came back from injury, but he wasn't a big
Yeah.
star beforehand, and now he's actually showing production and staying
I
healthy.
get
So that's
okay.
good. I understand.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
But either way, I'm okay with that. The next question, I'm not. It's not actually the next question, but it's linked to it, like we was talking about, breakout player of the year for the Colts, and that was where I slapped Paris Campbell. I was like, he has not broken out this year. Everybody said he was a bust because of his injuries and unable to produce. And this year he stayed healthy and is producing. That is why he is my breakout player of the year for the Colts.
Okay.
Loyalist?
Yeah, for me, I picked Grover for this because, guys, we've always thought real highly of Grover. And going in to the OTAs and stuff, hearing the Nate Ollie, I mean, Brandon said we didn't expect this. And I slightly disagree. I mean, Grover, the tackles for loss and stuff, maybe I didn't quite expect that as much as it is. I didn't expect him to lead the league in negative plays as a defensive tackle, but I did really expect Grover to pop off this year. And to me, I felt like he's been every bit of everything that the Colts could have asked for from that one tech position.
Yeah, things changed dramatically once they went from, a hold your ground to an attack style defensive front for him, especially.
Yeah.
Tom?
I like Grover. I don't think anybody expected what we're seeing from him this year, but I also think of Zaire with Shaq being non-existent this year and the way he stepped up and filled in that spot. And I think he's just done an awesome job. He's been more productive this year than he was last year, and he has to be because Shaq's not in there. So
that's funny because on that question, I actually did answer Grover or Paris and Zaire, if I remember correctly. I added Zaire at the end. I was like, it's a tie for me because Zaire did step in, and he's been fantastic in special teams, since he's been here. But when you have to come in to that very important Mike linebacker position and perform the way he's performed, that's very impressive.
Yep.
Absolutely. Zaire, a lot of his success is just due to opportunity. But how many times have we seen these guys get these opportunities and not ring that bell or not answer that bell? So I agree.
We all, it wasn't that long ago that the Colts, Mr. Grigson grabbed a linebacker from Florida, and we were like, I like his effort, but he's not very fast. Was it Morrison? Was his name?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's not in the NFL no more. Jack.
Zaire, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. When he shot that gap and caught the guy in the backfield, or caught the guy trying to go around the corner, and that was just a spectacular play. All you saw was just a white flash go by. It's like the next thing you know, the guy's on the ground. He has really, really stepped up to fill Shaq's shoes, and I think he's done a really good job. He's a hell of a tackler, so he don't mind hitting anybody. That's for dang sure.
Well, when you're on special teams on the gunner unit, then you got to be a good tackler.
Wasn't one of your secondary answers to this also Rodney Thomas? Didn't you mention him?
No, I think that was my breakout player.
That's what we're doing.
Or not break. Yeah, maybe. No. What was the other two questions?
Like I said, I knew the one that needed most improvement or most underperformed or whatever that was. And then,
hold on. I'll bring up all the questions because I got the email right here for it, and I can find out because there was 4 questions. There it is. Rising Star.
Okay.
That was But Brandon, your breakout player of the year is
Well, since I'm not gonna double dip and say Grove, I'll have to go Facion or not Facion. Sorry, Rogers. I just feel like he's not getting the snaps, which I kind of get because even when you watch that Devonte Adams play, and it's no disrespect to either one of them, Adams is gonna get you no matter what. But it always feels like he's half a step off a lot of times, but his speed makes up for it a lot, and I feel like that's part of his problem is he gets away with a lot of stuff just because of that speed. But I still feel like he's legit too.
Yeah.
Joe,
You got something in this on this one, Joe, for breakout player?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Franklin personally. I mean, Grove is a really that's somebody I would strongly consider there, simply because of the uptick in production and the difference in play that we've seen. But I feel like when it comes to we kind of already knew who Grove is and who he can be if utilized properly. But I really just kind of feel like Franklin stepping into that leadership role to fill a void. With Leonard being out like that, I really kind of feel like that just cements his case for that spot.
I'm done.
Real quick before we move on, Ninkovsky, I got we're going through certain a questionnaire for the Colts about players and their tags for the year so far. The first one was who's your comeback player of the year for the Indianapolis Colts?
Eris Campbell.
Okay. And who is your breakout guy?
Isn't it a little early for that?
Well, we're doing mid-season, just sort of where we see.
Okay. I would have to say, does it have to be based on last year?
No, it's this past year. The past 9 or 10 games.
Okay, so I would say Pierce then.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
A good one too.
Yep. Okay, so the next one. The next one is Rising Stars.
No,
Star or stars?
Rising Star. This is another one where I had 2 answers, and they were both on defense. And one of them you guys used for, some of you used for the breakout guy, but to me, Rodgers is still young, and that's why he's my rising star, right? Over there, I feel like he's not at that breakout point yet, right? He's still rising to be seen. The other guy was Rodney Thomas. Both those guys, they were equal in my eyes. The rookie and Rodgers were my rising stars.
Man, I would have to say Zaire Franklin is playing above his pay grade for sure.
He was used as a breakout guy for a few people, including myself. So I had 2 on that as well. Him and Paris Campbell.
I would even say, and like I've been saying this kind of today, and it's a little nuts, but this is me, so I have outlandish takes. But I would kind of think about maybe cashing in on the Darius Leonard ticket, because get what you can get for the guy. His stock is not really gonna rise too much as time goes on.
Well, the next topic.
I like how you didn't answer that.
Because we're in the middle of we're in the middle of this, and I don't want to.
Sorry, but
we might talk about that another time.
For me,
what is your rising star?
My rising star was twofold. Okay, because of the Shaq Leonard situation, EJ Speed. I really like when EJ Speed has had his opportunities to get on the field, how he's really just he's answered that bell on every daggone opportunity. You know what I mean? And then I also like the Rodney Thomas, but he's sort of his effectiveness has sort of leveled out. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like EJ Speeds is still climbing just because he's getting more opportunities.
Well, yeah, Rodney Thomas's snaps have dropped
because of Blackman. Yeah.
Blackman coming back. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep. But while he was in there, he was
absolutely.
Tom, your rising star?
It's got to be Alec Pierce for me. I mean that. Oh, he's doing better than I think people expected, but yet there was a lot of expectations put on him coming out of college. Everybody thought, this kid's going to be our, future number one wide receiver, and he showed up in big games at big times and made some big catches.
Yes,
and
he has.
I think he's definitely a rising star.
Okay. Jack, your rising star for the Colts?
Oh, you're gonna love this. Ryman.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be a good left tackle.
Okay.
I mean, it's been on the job training for him.
Yeah.
And I think he has really done. To me, he's done remarkably well.
Especially when you look at his on-the-job training, the weakest competition he's had in the games that he's played was literally Chandler Jones this last week. It's like
next week
training course.
Next week he's got Brandon Graham, so
Yep.
I mean,
Man, put him to the fire and let him work his way out of it.
That's right. What say you, Brandon?
Granson.
Kylan, there you go. That's a good call. Good call.
That's a good one.
I mean, he's a second year, so he's still very young, and he's the number one tight end in that room, and no one would have thought that coming into the year.
Kylan thought that.
Yeah, he did.
You better.
He said it twice on my show, so yeah.
Well, let's just say it wouldn't have taken long to beat Mo Alley blocks, but
Mo did much better in the blocking this past week than he has previously. I will give him that.
Yeah.
Joe, your rising star. Do you have one?
I mean, there's some really good answers in this one, I thought. I mean, EJ Speed, obviously. Granson, that's a great answer. I liked what I seen from him last year. But it just for me, I just can't overlook. I can't overlook Pierce. I can't overlook Pierce in that spot. It's not even so much. Well, we drafted this kid for a reason. This XYZ, but I don't think anybody expected. I've watched film on the kid. Prior to this year, I saw the talent that was there, but again, making that transition from, basically a mid-major conference in college football to the NFL, and being able to, like, the mental part of his game is I just feel like it's really solid. I feel like he's going to be a guy who's going to have a long career in the NFL, and I think he adds something to that offense that they haven't had since in a long time. He's a legitimate deep threat. He's a legitimate 50-50 receiver. He's got everything you could possibly want, and it's translating to the NFL level in a very short period of time. So I really just can't overlook him for that spot.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's cool. Ninkowski, your rising star for the Colts.
My rising star for the Colts? We just talked about him, didn't we?
Yeah, he had the first one.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he'd answered both questions, and then.
Okay.
Here's the cool thing about it, you know what I mean? Because this rising star, I mean, we can all agree that this season hasn't gone quite the way we saw this and stuff, but yet the fact that there's still been enough, even on the offensive side of the ball, that you can come up with Kylan Granson or Alec Pierce. I mean, that's outstanding.
One thing I will say before we kind of move on is that I've been critical all year, but I still see fight in this team as if we still have everything to play for, which is why I love it. Because it's not like the season's over yet. And there's always video to be put out, if nothing else. So go out, play your heart out, and let the chips fall where they may. It may be too late, but I still think there's a chance.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think a lot of that has to do with our new head coach.
Yeah.
I think he's
Yeah.
brought that fight.
Yeah.
He's brought
I've
that
said
fight
this now
out.
for a week and a half. This, and I'm skipping over Brandon, is the greatest gift that Jeff Saturday gave us. Is
Yeah.
just finding a way to turn Goki's perception of things and stuff.
But I always wanted like a Jeff Saturday type of character
I know.
leading this squad, like because that guy knows what it was like to be in the trenches, fighting for big games and things like that, and that can only be positive.
Yep.
Well,
All
I mean,
right.
he is definitely brought. He made a difference. You look at that team at New England and what we saw last Sunday against Vegas, and there's only one difference, and that's Jeff Saturday.
It wasn't so much the level of Vegas being lower than Belichick or something like this, but rather what we are able to bring out on the field. And I just see a different team. I really do. And we will
Vegas
see,
is still an NFL team. I don't
We
care
will-
what the record is. They're
And they've
still
got
an
some
NFL
super-
team.
And they got
They-
a lot of superstars on that team.
Damn
We will-
right. They got Devontae Adams. I mean, that
That's
kid
right.
can kill you from anywhere.
Josh Jacobs, you
Yep.
know.
We will-
Derek Carr.
we will see how we
Crosby.
stack up. We will see how we stack up against, probably the best record in the
Yeah.
NFL next week. But I don't see us getting blown out. I have the game
No.
Colts money line, but I don't see us getting blown out anymore because I believe that belief in the guy next to you is kind of back, and they want to play for Jeff.
The only thing I say is the only way the Colts get blown out against the Eagles, in my opinion, is if the Colts offensive line reverts back,
Yeah,
to like the way they were playing against the Patriots, which I don't see that. But also if the defense is not able to contain a certain quarterback over there, Hurts, that could be a problem. But for the most part, the Colts historically, against guys like Lamar Jackson and Holmes and
Patrick
Mahomes and them,
kind of.
and them, we usually contain pretty good. But that's generally against that was generally with
Scramblers.
with Matt Eberflus.
Yeah.
That was how Matt Eberflus done it. We contained Mahomes somewhat in the Kansas City game this year, so that is a positive thing to look forward to. The last tag that we're going on that I had to answer in that podcast that Chuck brought up was what player needs to rebound on the Colts, and my answer was a whole damn position group, which was the offensive line. And then I said, if I have to focus on one guy, in that position group, it'd be Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, of course. That
was that, and I think Loyalist, you said the exact same thing.
And
I did, but I want to put another name out there that really was like a close second for me, and that's our new toy on DN. I feel like we should be getting a lot more from Yannick than what we're getting. And I get it, he's causing a little bit of pressures, but we did not bring this guy in to just be another guy creating pressure. We brought him in to be a game wrecker. We brought him in to really change the stat line on this defensive front. And you look at it, the one that's changing the stat line on the defensive front is Grover. I don't sit there and give much of that credit to Yannick, and that is something that I would like to see that narrative change over the second half of the season.
My only argument for that, and that's the argument that I give for a lot of people who say that Yannick is not living up to expectations, he's playing at his average career at about 9 sacks a season.
Yeah.
He is averaging what he has even last year with the Raiders. He's averaging what he normally does, which is why I can't say he needs to rebound because he's doing what he's always done. He just hasn't taken it to that next level like we were hoping. That's the only thing that I can go against with that.
Well, I guess that's where I kind of took a little bit of a difference to putting Grove in as a breakout player. Because, I said last year that I thought the Colts had one of the best interior duos in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Pittsburgh, I didn't see a better interior duo on the defense than those two. So I guess to me, it wasn't like really a surprise to see the production that Grove's gotten this year and how he's being utilized. You put a different coach in there with a different philosophy, and this is what you get,
Yeah.
Going back to the flip side, you look at somebody like Unique, I don't think he's ever really panned out anywhere. Not that he's, dog shit or anything, but he's never been like that guy. And to Loyalist's point about trying to bring this guy in to be a game wrecker, you're just not seeing it. So I agree with that.
No, he's doing better than what Kwity Paye did as a rookie last year.
He was at his best. He was at his best at his draft spot in Jacksonville.
And that's where I was hoping. That's where I thought with putting him alongside Grover and DeForest, I thought that his numbers would open up a little bit more this year than what they've had.
Yeah. Right. All right, Tom, your rebound player of the guy that needs to rebound. Who would that be?
I'm going to go with you as far as the position group, but I think I'm not going to go with Ryan Kelly. I'm going to go with Big Q, and I think we saw that in Vegas. Big Q is the heart and soul of that offensive line, and they played like we all admit they played like dog shit for the first 10 weeks. They played like dog shit, and everybody, Quentin just got paid, got the contract, and I don't know what Jeff told him. I don't know what Jeff said to him, but he looked like Big Q that we all know and love last week. When he picked up that damn ball in the end zone and was going to run it out, I was going crazy. I wanted him to run over everybody. But that's the Q that we see. I saw him running down the field last week.
That's right.
Going after picking up the running back. I saw him doing that. You hadn't seen that earlier. He just, he stayed there. And I think he's been my rebound player.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, what's your guy who needs to rebound?
Well, I'm with Tom. Q.
Okay.
I thought the very same thing. He was a whole different guy against the Raiders. Like I said, we saw things we hadn't seen from him. So, yeah, and that, a lot of times you always talk about these guys, they go out and they get the big contract and, their production falls off and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I was getting a little concerned about, our whole offensive line, but when you've got Q, you don't expect him to fall off.
Yeah.
And
we just paid $20 million a year for average.
Exactly.
He's being mediocre with the rest of them,
Offensive line, like the big fellas up front on offense, is a position where if one is a little bit weaker than the rest, they're all fucked up, because it's such a cohesive position, and it has to be.
Yep, it is.
Weakest link, but yeah. So.
What do you got for us, Brandon?
Brandon, your guy who needs to rebound?
Yeah, sorry, my mic was muted. I'm not going to keep dogging the O-line, even though that would have been my choice.
Yeah,
but,
that's where I was like, I got to put somebody else.
I'll go Faison, personally. I feel like, I know he's only on a 1-year deal and stuff like that, but I guess just moving into the second half of the year, he needs to play better. He's always, I know he's not like horrible, but he's always just slightly out of position, and unlike Isaiah Rodgers, he can never make up for it. And
Brendan, I want to make a point, brother. Not that I disagree with you, but I feel like Brendan Faison is what Corey Redding used to be. He was brought in to be a bridge guy between the coach of that team and or room and the rest of the room, the rest of the players in that room. That's the only reason Brendan Faison is on that team, because he's Gus Bradley's guy.
no, I get that, and I understand why they brought him in. But if he's getting more snaps than Isaiah, he needs to be performing better than
Yeah,
Isaiah has.
he shouldn't be getting more playing time than Isaiah Rogers. Isaiah
hasn't.
Rogers is the man.
He hasn't. Isaiah Rogers Sr. has had more snaps than Brandon Faison for like the last 6 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I just noticed him because he's always on the field on a big play. Then, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the thing was like when Brandon made, we were talking about at the very beginning when he made that great PBU in this last week's game, and there in the middle of the field. That shouldn't be such a shock. You know what I mean? You want to see those plays and be like, oh yeah, that's right. No, he did that, and I damn near had to pick myself up off the field. I was just like, did he just fly through the air and knock that ball down?
Yeah. You got to wait for the replay to verify that just happened.
Hey man, I'm just proud of the way that this team shows fight. So now we can actually not kill ourselves before the game. Before the game,
Right.
actually 0-0, not like 27-0. Before the game starts.
I got a question for you, Lawrence.
Let's just go.
What do you remember the last time our head coach gave a victory Monday?
No, sir, I don't. Lawrence?
What do you mean by Victory Monday?
You know how
Where they get the day off on
after,
Monday.
after the win. No,
Frank never did that. Frank never did that. Frank never said, see you on Wednesday. They were always back in the building on Monday. Then they had Tuesday off. But I saw when Jeff said that in the presser in the post game.
Pagano would do that. I knew Pagano did that. I don't remember. You're right. I don't remember Frank ever doing that.
It's kind of like they're bringing back that old, the way it used to be.
Be a stud on Sunday. You get a reward on Monday.
Because that's what Saturday remembers. Like he was the dog. He played his guts out.
Oh, I know. I think it's a great thing. I'm glad to see it. I want him to bring back, the way it used to be.
Of course, man.
You got a name you'd like to throw out there, Joe?
Big Q. Big Q. I mean, you could, if you're blind, you could say Jonathan Taylor. Strongly advise looking into a career as an NFL referee if that's the case. But, just saying, like,
where's Joey Beggs when you need him, man?
That's fine. And he stole it from me. I don't want to fucking hear it, Ninkowski. Made that shit up in fucking 8th grade, okay?
Well, okay, it's not his fault you were around like 30 years before him.
It's not your fucking fault. You weren't there the first time I said it.
That's true.
Well, actually, it is. It is my fault.
It is my fault.
It is your fucking fault. So, but I mean, Big Q, okay. So the logic behind that, obviously, don't want to dog shit the O-line too much, but come on, guys. That's been the problem with this team the whole fucking year. They've got all the other pieces there to be successful. The defense has been playing extremely well. You've got the most talented running back in the league right now. You've got your pieces on the outside. Your tight end room starting to come together. We know Matt Ryan can play, even though he's got his flaws. Bullshit. The offensive line's been atrocious. You paid this guy a shitload of money to be a fucking leader in that crew. You shouldn't have to bring a guy like Jeff Saturday in the building to get a fire under these motherfuckers' ass. That's what you paid this guy for, not just his performance on the field, but you paid him, you made an example out of him to be a leader.
It's
And
true.
he hasn't fucking stepped up to that this year.
But maybe someone needs to show him how to lead at the NFL level. Maybe Jeff Saturday is just that spark that he needed in his ass.
I would,
Okay, but
I would
that-
also. That's
Go
a
ahead.
that's a. I would like to sit there and point out that that's a very valid point because you look at, okay, Q went to Notre Dame. Q was the tone setter. Okay, he would set the tone. But McGlinchey, the left tackle, who now is in San Francisco,
Yeah.
he was the voice of that room. You know what I mean? He's seen these guys lead and stuff, but seeing somebody lead and then being that guy. I mean, we know Q. Q, if he can get out without saying a word, he's going to be happy. You know, that vocal leadership aspect that Saturday's bringing. You know, I mean, that's a very good, valid point because, I mean, maybe he needs to have Jeff Saturday set the fire because he'll lead, like, go up to Frank and say, why aren't we running the damn ball? You know, that was his leadership. You know what I mean? He would sit there and just man on man. But to sit there and lead these guys and get them to elevate their gameplay and stuff through that rah, you know, go get them type thing. That's just not Q's style.
Oh, hold on, because not during the game, but he didn't care who he talked to either. Remember at the remember in training camp, his first year, I think it was, where
Ballard.
he ran up to Ballard on the sideline and says, you know, you talk about iron sharpening iron and getting better, and these are the kind of defensive tackles that you bring to me for me to get better. What the hell? And then the very next following offseason, he goes and grabs DeForest Buckner. You know, I mean,
but there again, that was a one-on-one to elevate his game. You know what I mean? And that's not going to help elevate the group as a whole. And, you know, and like I said, you can be a hard ass. That whole offensive line are a bunch of hard asses. But who's going to be the vocal hard ass? Who's going to be the one that goes out there and holds them accountable? And Jeff Saturday's like, that's what they're lacking, so that's what I'm going to be to these guys.
If I may, I have a question kind of for the group. What do you
I gotta leave here in like 3 minutes. So
what do you guys feel that Jeff Saturday has to do in terms of a record to be a strong contender for keeping the job?
he has to have a winning record against the final group, and that's going to be a tall task because we have the toughest remaining schedule in the NFL.
Okay, bro, but it's possible.
It is possible. It is possible. I think we have the talent to do it. They just have to play like a team and go out there and play hard-nosed football. But, yeah, they have to have a winning record.
And there's other questions that need to be answered, like who's making that decision? Is Ballard still making that decision? Because, you know, if it's Ballard making that decision, it's a different thing than if Irsay's making that decision. Because Irsay's already, you know,
I think it's
1 foot and half of a toe.
I think it's the gentleman with the checkbook.
Well,
That's just
Ballard is the one that you know, goes out and looks and stuff. And yes, you're right, Ninkowski. Irsay's the final say. You know, he's the one that pays the guy, right? Because it's just like with the Raiders. It doesn't matter what the GM for the Raiders wants right now for the Raiders. Josh McDaniels is their head coach for the next two.
Mark Davis came out and supported.
Yeah, well, no, he didn't support him. He said he has to be our head coach for the next 2 years because we don't have any money left to hire another head coach.
Yeah.
We are broke.
Yeah,
Right.
because you're still
Yeah,
paying
we're stuck
Gruden
with
all
him.
that fucking money.
Yeah,
We're stuck with him.
But my point is like I said, with Ballard, is Ballard on board with this? Because honestly, if Ballard's not on board, that brings in a whole different collective of who will be making those decisions and stuff, and how much of a voice and how much is Irsay, is he going to go back to the way it was up until the end of last year where he was more, here's my guys and let them do their shit, or is he going to be more like he has been over the last, you know, 13, 14, 16 months and be more hands-on? And if that's the case, this process is going to be much more longer and more drawn out.
I think it'll be long and drawn out anyhow because they still have to go through all of, you know, you got to have your minorities and everybody else. And
but what I mean is the team getting over this. I mean, the process is what the process is. But what I'm saying is you can sit there and if Irsay brings in another guy, but starts overriding him again and starts, I mean, obviously he's got the biggest dick on the table because his checkbook says so. But my point is if he doesn't let these guys do their work and stuff, it's going to take longer to fix some of these holes.
I heard from 3 Tweety birds, it was not Jim Irsay that forced the quarterback change. It was.
I didn't think it was. I didn't think
it was Frank Reich.
Yeah. Like I said,
and that's one of the reasons why he got terminated.
That's why they went back to Matt Ryan so quickly. That's why it made sense.
I'm not allowed to say who because when you bring that out, then that's dashing, a guy.
Well, you're breaking your trust with your guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but I had 3 different people told me that was Frank Reich's move, and that media just assumed. And because how it looked,
yeah,
right. and it just it ran, and they cannot if they go out and correct it and say no, that was all Frank Reich, then you're downing Frank Reich, and they all like Frank Reich. Irsay still loves Frank Reich. Chris Fowler loved the players. He's still incredibly well liked, so they don't want to down him in that situation.
But even if you don't, you look like a douche team to like put your coach under the bus because he's he worked for you for
you already fired him. What more do you need to do?
Yeah, but,
exactly.
Yeah, but there's like a good firing, and you can leave on really bad terms. And throwing him under the bus, you just make yourself look like a douchebag at this point.
All right, guys, I will be back in about 45 minutes, but I got to jump off here and get ready to join TSS Fantasy Pod.
Ask those motherfuckers why they ruin ribeye like that.
Is that the Eagles podcast, Lawrence?
Dude, it's on YouTube. This one, the one that I'm doing today. Yesterday was just the audio podcast that I did.
Yeah,
but
bro.
I love Philly steaks. I've had an actual Philly
good,
steak, and I think they're good as fuck.
Come on, Joe. That's a Pittsburgh talking in you.
Just don't do that kind of shit.
Really? Because I take sirloins and shred the fuck out of them and make burritos.
Well, there you go. Okay, you can do that with a sirloin.
Yeah,
okay, you're good to go.
Joe, that's the yinzer in you, brother.
All right, I'll be back here after a bit, man.
All right, bro.
All right.
Okay, so here's the fucking thing. You got question marks going around like that about like who did what and who said what and who's this kind of bullshit, and you got that kind of crap and that kind of energy in your building. That's a problem.
Well, that's
big time problem.
That's a big fucking problem. Oh no, it was this guy. No, it was this guy. Oh no, it was him. Oh no. And you start getting this finger pointing going around like, whose fucking decision was that? And who's this? And nobody wants to say a fucking word. When you've got shit like that, you don't have somebody that's willing to step up and fucking be accountable for making a decision. That's a fucking huge, gigantic fucking problem.
Yeah. No one's willing to step up and own it. Somebody did it. Somebody made that decision, and no one's willing to own it.
And nobody's willing to own it. That's a fucking big problem.
Yeah, and I'm not discouraging Lawrence, and he's got his connection.
No.
No, I'm just saying. But the thing is there are so many people that you hear from. There's people that are in the front office that were displeased and had voiced their opinions to Zach Kiefer and to Kevin Bowen and to the media and stuff. And it's like, I don't know who the fuck to believe anymore. I know this. Irsay said these guys are safe. A week and a half later, one guy's gone already. I'm like, if you want to sit there and base it off of who you're going to believe, Reich to me never lied. He was over positive. He wasn't hard ass enough, whatever, but you never heard any dishonesty because he always took ownership for it. You know what I mean? And there wasn't very much deflection. You know, he would not sit there and throw but he was consistent every freaking time. So you knew you were going to get a ton of coach speak from Reich. But that's what that is who Reich is. That's how he chooses to handle his thing. Where Irsay, he's willing to pop off anywhere and everywhere. I'm about to hop on the plane. Let me get on Twitter real quick.
But the thing is, Lewis, this is his team. He has the right to do that whenever he wants.
That's fine. But the thing is this is not his team because we are the ones that pay for tickets. We're the ones.
This is his team.
No,
this is his team.
He signs the check. But this is the Indianapolis Colts team. You sit there and you say that, but look at what happened to look what happened in Baltimore when they left there. Okay, that community, Irsay wants this to be a family and a community and stuff. Irsay has the right. I've always said that it's his right to do that. But you cannot sit there and say that this is solely his team. Because
no. What I mean about the whole with Frank and the quarterback change and all that, and Irsay, everybody's blaming Irsay for it. But when you look at it and you step back from it, at that point in the season, we looked like shit. We were playing like shit. Frank knew the writing on the wall. If he do something, he was gone. He knew that. He knew that his job was on the line. Any coach he's been there. He was there 5 years. He'd been to the playoffs one time. He hasn't won the AAA South. He's been mediocre the whole damn time, and nothing changed. Nothing changed except for that when Phillip Rivers was here. That was the best year we had. He hasn't done anything. I like Frank. I think he's a great guy, but you can see the difference in this team with that different person as Jeff Saturday. And I really think Frank is probably the one that made that decision because he was drawn at straws.
How are you linking these two? You're sitting there saying an owner making a decision is and you're trying to compare it to what the head coach is. Okay,
I'm saying like when you say Irsay can go out and say and tweet and whatever, and make his little videos in front of the plane. That's what I was saying. He can do that because he's the owner. He can go out and do those things. And, some people don't like it. I personally love it. That's what I'm saying about Irsay.
That's what I'm here for.
I have no problem with him being the fan and doing that stuff. Where I draw the line or where I start getting to where I'm uncomfortable with it is when he starts making decisions about how this team.
But why?
But who knows?
Like that, because we've seen Jim Irsay as a general manager. He failed.
Right, but we don't know. We don't know that he's the one that made this decision.
But that's the problem.
But it's a different time now. It's a different time now, and if he feels that something better is sitting on the bench behind Sam Ellinger, and Sam Ellinger is the one taking snaps for 3 games, and we look like absolute dog shit, then why not force the change back to Matt Ryan?
But that's now see there again. The force change was to get Sam on the field. That's where the force change came. It wasn't the force change. Saturday made that decision. Saturday said that Matt Ryan's my guy. Okay? The force change was whenever Matt Ryan got benched. But now they could have very easily just said, Matt Ryan's banged up, he's got a shoulder, we're going to give Sam a shot.
But I
agree with that.
I don't think Jeff's two things, and they're going to be parallel. So you might get pissed off at me, RC, but it's okay. It is what it is, brother.
Why is it if I disagree with you, which I do most of the time?
No.
I have to be pissed off.
No. It's fine.
No, it's not fine because you're interpreting me disagreeing with you.
People being pissed off when it gets
When did I interrupt you just now?
Oh, I'm used to that.
When did I interrupt you just now? Finish, please.
What?
Finish your point so I can.
No. I said, why is it when I disagree with you, you think you interpret it as me being pissed off?
No.
And it's not that way.
I mean, pissed off in the loosest of ways, brother. It's fine. It's like when we have not the same point. That's all. It's in the loosest of ways. It's normal.
Okay, I disagree with you. Okay.
It's normal banter. I just call it pissed off.
Okay.
I don't think Jeff Saturday was there long enough to be able to say, okay, I'm going with this guy. He was
I
there.
disagree.
He was there for three. He was there for 3 days as the head coach. You really think
I
he
disagree.
was the one making the choice?
100%. 100%.
Oh yeah, I think he made that choice.
Okay.
He said he made the choice.
Okay, then I like it even more because it shows that he has balls.
Exactly. You know, I mean, it does show that he took took the initiative, and and that's where, like I said, I think Jeff Saturday, Irsay was like, "This is such a shit show. Do what you can to hold this shit together."
Okay, then I'm with it even more. You made me
I agree.
Even a bigger fan of Jeff Saturday. Like I
So-
might go out and tweet that Jeff Saturday was
Okay, so to
President
your
of the
point,
United States of America. God damn it.
to your point, if you
There
think
you go.
that, if that's what you think, and that's where you're leaning about Jeff.
Who are you
Saturday,
talking to,
Ninkovsky.
Joe?
I'm talking to Ninkovsky right now.
Okay.
If you're leaning toward, okay, well, you like this Jeff Saturday hiring, you like
I
this,
do.
you like this
I
for
love
all
it.
the different reasons that you've stated, because he's going to be a big swinging dick in that building. He's going to come in there and fucking put a foot in somebody's ass and crack some skulls together
love it.
to get this shit right. Okay, so why would you assume that he was not the one responsible for that decision? Because the force change.
Only because he was there for 3 days before.
So fucking
the game
what?
day. Only because of that.
No, fuck this. I'm going with a guy. I think you brought me in here to be the head coach of this fucking
Okay.
team. I'm
Then
going to
good for
run
him.
because I agree with Loyalist 100% here. It's like, okay, whatever happened, whoever made what decision, it got to a point with the Colts organization where they realized, dude, we're fucking up in spades here, and this shit is circling the fucking drain. We got to knock this shit off. We need a fresh voice. We need a fresh guy in here. We need to back off here for a minute and
But
just let this fucking guy come in here from the outside. And Irsay even said in that press conference, this is one of the only things that I really agree, even though, he goes off on tangents and whatever. I really agreed with him with bringing in somebody with a fresh pair of eyes. And people can say, oh, he doesn't have any head coaching experience. I don't give a fuck. The guy's a 15-year NFL veteran who's an all-pro, who was a leader on that fucking team. If you're telling me that Jeff Saturday does not know how to be a fucking leader, you are a fucking moron.
Peyton Manning, so that's stupid to say.
Any
that
of
he's
these
not a
fucking
leader.
cocksuckers out there in the media who fucking were railing that shit down our throats, you're
I
a
know.
fucking idiot.
Yes.
Not anybody in this
Bill
room.
Cowher and Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas should be stripped of any sort of, what's the word here? Relevancy.
That's why you brought this guy in here.
Because no, you don't say that about a fellow player that you played with, man. Because that's gonna be you tomorrow, maybe. And
Bill Cowher can fucking suck a dick on that one too. I disagree with him.
Bill Cowher's another one.
Absolutely.
Bill Cowher took the job at 33 years old, and he never had any experience.
I'd like to articulate two things. First off, I love Irsay's fandomness. Okay, I do. I love the passionate speeches in front of the airplane. I love all that. But here's where I have a problem.
Okay.
The lines are really blurred right
Yes.
now as who's doing what and whose job is what. Here's my
I agree.
thing. Jim Irsay is the owner. The time he has to affect this team is when he's hiring the GM and when he's hiring the head coach. Okay, you hire those guys, and then you step back and let those guys that you put in a place of power do their shit.
But he did. He gave Frank Reich
Okay.
5 years.
Okay, so to Loyalist's point, I'm going to confirm and back up what you're saying here. Is that okay? So I feel like at this point, we had the whole Carson Wentz thing, which kind of adds more mud to the water. And I really don't want to get into all that right now because we've already gone over this and over this and over this. Just taking this within the lens of just this past year, this past season, and what's happened with this team. Okay, where do you go from here? He basically extended he fucking extended Frank Reich.
Yeah.
he fucking extended Chris Ballard. Okay, I know Chris Ballard's got this thing where it's like he's at these press conferences and he's listening to Irsay talk and he's kind of biting his fucking lip like, like I wouldn't say the shit that this guy's saying, but whatever. It's fucking Jim Irsay. I'll give him that part of it. But I think what happened here is that if that's the case, and Irsay's like, this shit has gotten so fucking far out of control because I did fucking trust this guy to fucking run this team, to fucking get this shit right. And now here I am watching all this dog shit happen that's taken our team from, we were one step away from contention to now we're a laughing stock.
Yeah.
And I think when it finally sunk in for him that this shit, something's rotten in Denmark here. And he finally pulled the trigger and said, fuck this. This is not what I hired you fuckers to do.
And here's the thing that I look at, because if you look like a circus, no matter whose fault it is, whenever you go and try to draw some big name talent or to sell somebody on coming to the Colts, for many years we've heard the Colts is one of the best run organizations. The Colts are this, the Colts are that. They're the team you're afraid to see. But the thing is literally in one press conference or two press conferences, all of a sudden now, I don't give two shits about Cower and Thomas because you sit there and say make their relevancy. They're irrelevant to me because I'm not going to listen to their crap. You know what I mean? So now I've just taken that away from them. But my thing is whenever it comes to other players, I mean, could you imagine trying to talk Stephon Gilmore into coming over here next year? Not, if he wasn't here.
Right.
Hey, come on over, man. We're looking like a fucking circus, but we love the way you play football and your professionalism. Come on over here. He's going to be much less likely to think about that discussion. Or if he does, he's like, oh, they want me to come in and save the season for him or save the, and then he's going to want to charge him more. There's just a lot of levels to that I don't give a shit about what the main public thinks about this team. I'm worried about other players that we could actually get into this organization and make this team.
You also have to talk. Okay, here's the thing about this is that you also have to fucking look at this through the lens too, with those two in particular. You're talking about two gentlemen that are in the exact same situation that Jeff Saturday was in 2 weeks ago.
Well, Bill
Cowher hasn't fucking been a head coach in 15 fucking years.
Bill Cowher's been a coach before, though, and for him,
he has. But so fucking what? I don't give a shit.
For him to run,
I don't care.
For him to run his trap on a mainstream TV network, just
national media.
Why?
But that's
national
what he does.
Fucking legacy media on no less. And here's the thing about this too. Okay, the game has changed since then. I don't blame Irsay for coming in and shaking the box and saying, you know what, fuck this.
Absolutely.
I really don't.
I want Peyton Manning to be the offensive coordinator, man. If I'm Irsay next year, Peyton Manning is my offensive coordinator. Fuck this. No, I'm kidding. No. It's not gonna fucking happen, but why not?
Because Peyton Manning would have to answer to a head coach, a general manager, and an owner. You think Peyton Manning's going to answer to that many people?
I said, loyalist, it would never fucking happen.
I know.
But the thing about all of this, if we end this season with a winning record, if we go say 6-2, the remaining games,
yes, sir,
all this shit will be forgotten, and Irsay will look like a fucking hero, and he did the right thing. I've already seen older players on TV saying, hey, this is a good thing. This is a way to get older players into the coaching ranks. This is a good thing. This is a way to get our old players, there were things like that, coaches, this is not rocket science. This is fucking football. It doesn't take a genius to fucking teach somebody how to play football. It doesn't. You got a head coach is a motor. A head coach is somebody that is the CEO of that football team, and that's what a head coach does.
Yeah.
And there could be a lot of other players that might be interested in getting in coaching if this works and we are successful. Wait. You just wait till next year. Let's see how many other players jump the ship and come in there. You know, it's a copycat league. If it works here, somebody else is going to do it. Somebody else will do it.
I don't have a problem with them bringing in Saturday once they fired Reich, okay? And I don't even really have a problem with Reich being fired for the simple fact that, like we've all said, this team was not the best, was not being brought out of them. The best,
team, this team was not even on life support, and I can't talk about it as much as Tom can or you can, RC, because you live in that market and you go to games all the time. But this team was not even showing a lifeline, like on a monitor. Now it feels like we're alive.
But that's what
we are alive. I mean, all you got to do is 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry,
I
Lois.
agree with you, brother.
2 weeks ago, I would, like I said, I'm a season ticket holder, and 2 weeks ago for this coming Eagles game, after we lost to the Patriots, Facebook was loaded with people selling their tickets. Get rid of them, didn't care, sell them. Now, all of a sudden, Saturday gets hired, we win. Now the damn game is sold out. It's packed. It will be nuts on Sunday. It will be an absolute pandemonium on that game.
There may be some pregame tears too, like just emotion out of the sheer fact that the Jeff Saturday is stepping back on that field as a head coach. Like, that's a big moment.
It's not just
like
that.
I said, when this first happened, I felt like this was Irsay trying to keep a fan base and trying to keep everybody engaged. And I understand that it's a business. If you don't sell tickets, everything else goes to shit. All I'm saying is whenever the dust settles down, I hope Irsay sits there, makes his choice about Ballard or whatever it is he's going to do, and then just go back to the way it was.
I agree.
Assign these guys their responsibilities. Now let them do their job. If you don't trust them, and maybe next time you won't sit there and give Ballard and GM and head coach, whoever, an extension without proving that they've given you this or given this organization what you want. I mean, why did he extend them? There was no. I mean, we've said they're falling short. They're not making the playoffs and all this other stuff. Why are we extending these guys?
Well, hell, he did the same thing with Grigson and McConnell.
And that's like what you thought he would have learned from that mistake. But nope, exactly. He doubled it down. Done it again, and that's where if we keep making the same mistake, then this organization is going to find its high point isn't going to be where it needs to be to win a Super Bowl. And that's my thing. I hope Irsay, once he gets all the pieces back in place, whether it's Saturday, Ballard, Dodds, insert whatever name, just do whatever. Don't sit there and try to sell us on this. Just plug these guys in and let their work speak for themselves.
Well, let me ask you this,
be a
Lois.
fan again.
Let me ask you this. We've been talking about, who did what. Did Reich make the quarterback switch? Did Irsay jump in and start all this? What does everybody think Ballard's role was in this?
Well, see, there again, you can't really answer that because we don't know the facts. We don't know.
That's right. We'll never know. We will never know.
Okay, but we will know. We'll know whenever the end of the year comes up. But if Ballard's still with us, and Irsay's still, overplaying his hand, or not overplaying his hand, because he owns the thing, Brendan, he can run this ship into the ground.
Turn yourself down, Brendan. Sorry, Bob. Or
what?
Because it's not him. Anyway, to back your point up again, Loyalist, you said earlier that even though Irsay technically owns the team, it's not his team. And this is what we're talking about. Like, he still has to answer to the fans. Mm-hmm. And every NFL team still has to answer to their fans. And that's the one thing that the NFL has done, I feel, better than any sports league that I know anything about, is that they recognize that more than anything, and that they realize that without their fans they don't have a business, period. It's not like these guys coming out of college can go make a fucking living playing anywhere else. Like, I mean, it's not like baseball where at least you can grind out something on your leather ass in AAA or AA or whatever, or basketball where you can play.
Baseball players get signed at 17 years old.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's not. So I mean, you in every single fucking year, the way the league is designed is that every fan base gets a chance to buy in this year. This year's going to be our fucking year. Everybody starts at 0-0. The way the league is structured is that, everybody has a shot. And they recognize more than any other league in professional sports that just how important their fans are. So an owner that doesn't have that mindset, they're failing. They're failing. So to me, an NFL owner, they do have a boss, and it's the fucking people who buy season tickets. It's the people who fucking buy and spend $600 on a fucking jersey.
There we go.
The people who fucking,
What's up, bud?
who support this, who pay fucking $10 for a goddamn hot dog.
That's for sure.
You know what I mean?
Audio
Fucking
But
$200 for parking.
And then one thing I'd say, I mean, if you look at it from a fan perspective for the Colts fans, 2 weeks ago, this place, I mean, yeah, I live in this market. I go to the game. This fan base was as low as they could be. No, there was no future. We were done. Everybody's talking about tanking. We're just, this season is over with. Look at us now. Look at us now.
Can I ask a question, Tom?
What did Irsay do to answer his fan base? What did Irsay do to pump up his fan base?
Yes, we hear you.
He brought in Jeff Saturday, and here we go. If it works, it's going to be one of the best best moves that has ever been done.
Did our fan base lose their minds more in the last 2 weeks, like you said, or when Luck abruptly decided to call it quits?
Last 2 weeks for me.
Last 2 weeks, because I think when Luck retired, I mean, for a couple weeks, everybody was just in a state of shock, and they were just pissed. But the last 2 weeks after that New England game, there was no hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, good God, 2 yards after the first quarter, there was no hope.
And that was the thing. And I'm not trying. And Matt, don't take this as me shitting on the Patriots because
I know. I just got my earphones on. I have no idea what you're talking about.
But we hit rock bottom. Honestly, we hit rock bottom. I thought that loss last year to the Ravens was so damn demoralizing. Then I thought the end of the season last year, I was like, holy shit, but you still had that hope of, okay, we get this court. But no, then we find out, for me, I just felt like the wheels were falling off. I felt like the lines of hierarchy were very meshed together and confused. And then the messaging, we're like, oh, we're still got a chance, but we're going to put a quarterback in here that's never seen us. It's just what was being said and what was being put out on the field was totally two different directions. And that's where I was like, for me, it felt more hopeless after the Patriots lost because of the massive amount of ineptitude on top of the fact that you looked at which direction do we need to go. And I felt like even the team was going in multiple different directions, whether it was Ballard or Irsay or, Reich or where the hell the defense. I mean, how the hell this defense has kept that locker room solid? Kudos. Because how many teams do we see? How many teams do we see where the defense or one side of the ball really balls out, and all of a sudden, 5-6 weeks of it, you start seeing that motherfucker ain't doing his job. And all of a sudden, it's being even more destructive behavior.
Look at the Rams right now.
Yeah.
You have Ramsey calling out the offense because he's like, they always tell us to put the game away. Why don't you put the game away for once?
I mean, yeah, and the Rams are an even bigger shit show because they fell out out of order like so suddenly. Like we're just 6 weeks into the 10 weeks into the year now, 11 weeks, whatever it is, and these guys are already out of the damn playoffs. Like they have no shot, basically.
I think
Well,
they're
but
worse
you
than
look
we
at
are.
their level of play. Their level of play did not drop like the Colts did. They weren't giving up 9 sacks a game.
No,
They
sir, but
weren't going for
Well,
negative 2 yards a
they
quarter.
were they were
that's
also they were also last year's Super Bowl champs.
I understand, but my point being is to me, when you're looking at a team, you have to evaluate them as far as what they're doing this year. I understand
Yeah,
what they did last year. Okay, I do.
I
And
get
I
it.
understand what the expectations were. But at least they're still moving the ball. At least they're still putting points on the board. We went we went for so many games where we couldn't even move the ball. We
Well,
couldn't,
well,
we couldn't
that's
score.
because we dicked around with experimental quarterbacks. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
well, no, the thing I looked at it and agree with you, loyalists. I think from a fan base, you sat there and you watched those games, and as a fan, you could see what the problem was. But then when you listen to their, Frank Wright get up there and speak or whatever, oh, got to get better. We got to go back to work. We got to do that. It was the same thing every week. And we kept screaming and screaming. The fucking O line is the problem. The O line is our problem. Matt Ryan is a damn good quarterback, but I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is back there. If you don't have an O line to protect him, he's going to get killed. Prove it when Patrick Mahomes got killed in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
You got to have an O line to protect him. And as a fan, and when you see that, and the team they don't do anything to fix it. They don't do anything to respond to it. They stay away from the question. They don't talk about it. That's the frustrating part as a fan base, especially a fan that's paid money for season tickets. And you're like, damn, if I can see it, why the hell, what are you looking at? What the hell are you looking at? And then you get Saturday that comes in here and he admits the first thing he did was call out the offensive line, and we see product on the field. Is that all it took? Is that all it took was for a guy to come in and call out the offensive line? And now you got Matt Ryan that got hit one time, got sacked one time, did a great game. Running game magically appeared again. JT breaks one, runs one to the house, averaging 6 yards a carry. What the hell? Is that all it needed? Was that it? That simple.
Matt Ryan also set a career high, doubled his career high.
If Matt Ryan can run for 40 yards behind an offensive line, Jesus Christ. I mean, come on. It's taken him 45 seconds to get there, but Jesus. I mean, it's amazing.
Can I? And I'm not trying to. Is there anybody that wants to vote? Because guys, this is a negative energy. We just fucking won a game. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit there. If you guys want to keep talking about this, that's fine. But
it's not negative energy at all. I don't feel anything.
It's realism.
We're just.
How about that Patriots Jets game?
I'm just saying. I feel like we've talked. Is there more to be said on this, or can we move the topic?
No, I think they finally have addressed it.
It's
and
good.
we see the result. And as a fan, I'm thrilled to death. I really, I'm looking forward to the next 8 games. I really am. I can't wait to go Sunday. I can't wait to be in my seats and watch that game. I don't care. It's going to be a great game, and I'm excited about it.
Oh my God, I can't wait. And I know this is putting the cart before the horse, but I'm telling you right now, the Colts go out and they win this game.
Yep.
Holy shit, this fan base is going to lose their mind. And I mean, I'll tell you right now, everybody that has ever been a Colts fan, whether they're on the bandwagon or not, they're going to be going out there with their fly down and their dick hanging out going, woo! And just sitting there, take that, Bill Cowher, take that, Joe Thomas.
Can I just say something?
National media.
I am not usually the good luck charm for this team, aka when I play the Colts on a ticket, they usually don't do me well. But this time on Monday, I played the Colts money line, so I'm gonna for half a unit. and I believe in that ticket actually.
Yeah, I
Because
just the narrative.
we showed the fight. We showed the fight that I've been talking about for 3 years.
I really think if they win Sunday against Philly, they've got a damn good chance to win. They've got a good chance to win all the remaining games.
I agree.
They really do.
I
They really
Bobby
do.
Bobby O said it perfectly. He's like, if you sit there, okay, and you look at this team, we've lost Shaq Leonard. That's a big loss. But
Big,
Zaire
huge.
Franklin has really stepped up in that void. Okay. Then you sit there and you look at Kwity Paye. He's out, but he's fighting to come back. So really, the other loss you got is Tyquan Lewis, which is a big hit. But there again, we've got guys in Dio Adengbo and Ifedi Odenigbo that are filling that void. So my point is this team, as far as the roster, I mean, you look at if this offensive line continues, like I said, if last week was the floor for this team and every game is that good or better on the offensive line, Matt Ryan's going to get more faith in him. He's going to be willing to look, try to let some of these longer playing or longer developing patterns, come to fruition. And the thing is we're still Matt Ryan's always going to be able to use the middle of the field. He's been good at that since his rookie year. I'm telling you right now, if we can sit there and hold up against this Eagles, because to me, Eagles are the most complete team that we still have left. I love the Chargers, but with all their injuries and stuff, they're lacking some pieces. You look at the Cowboys. I mean, I can't even put them anywhere close to the same completeness as this Eagles.
No, the one team I'd be worried about is the Vikings. That's the one that I'm worried about.
They are the team that I am scared. I'm a little scared of.
Like I said, I think if we can get past the Eagles, there's not a team on there. The one that really probably concerns me the most, and he just showed up, and that's the Steelers. Because I'll tell you right now, TJ Watt.
Oh, when he gets back. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But the only thing is TJ Watt gonna actually come back 100% healthy ever during this season? Probably not. You don't get back that quickly from that sort of injury to 100%. I'm not saying 80-90% TJ Watt is not great. He is. But luckily for us, I don't know if he's going to be at 100%.
If y'all really think about our record with the Steelers, I don't give a damn if the Steelers bring in 53 people on the street. We're going to have problems with them. We've always had problems with the Steelers.
I think we've always had problems with Big Ben.
The only time we didn't have problems with the Steelers was before Terry Bradshaw came along. That's how long it's been with the Steelers. We beat the Steelers all the time before. Bradshaw came along and we started losing to him, and we have a absolute lousy record against the Steelers. Doesn't matter when.
The thing that worries me about the Steelers is TJ Watt and that elite pass rusher ability, and I don't think that pack.
Don't worry me.
I don't think that pack is going to stop them. But the thing is we've already seen what Sam brings to this. If Matt Ryan takes a couple hits from TJ Watt, they could be hits that knock him out for a game. And if this team loses Matt Ryan, I feel like our
then the season is completely over.
All right, I got 2 words for you, motherfuckers. Matt Canada.
I'm not worried about losing the
Matt Canada.
I'm not worried about losing the game. I'm worried about losing
the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt Canada.
He's worried about losing the quarterback to TJ Watt.
Because
it don't matter. You could put fucking Sam Ellinger in there.
Hey,
we have Matt Canada.
I have a question. What the hell? Why the hell isn't
you can fucking bring goddamn Reggie
Why the
White,
hell isn't
Bruce
Smith?
Okay, I can only one
it ain't gonna fucking matter.
Bruce Smith could run that offense better than run that offense better than Matt Canada.
What were you asking, Goki?
Why the hell wasn't at any point of the season, other than the first couple of games, maybe Nick Foles dressing as QB2?
Nick Foles was definitely a Frank Reich move.
Well, but I mean, not to mention, what do you get with Nick
Yeah.
Foles that Matt Ryan doesn't give you?
I'm
With
surprised
Sam
they bring him
Ellinger
in there when Carson Wentz was a fucking QB.
I'm saying, why isn't Nick Foles ahead of Sam on the depth chart?
That's what I was trying to answer you
now.
I
That's what I
agree.
was trying to answer you for. The
He
thing
was.
is with Matt Ryan, if you go to Nick Foles, you've got a quarterback who can work the pocket, but he's not mobile enough to get away. And your offensive line, up until last week, was playing like dog shit. So at least with Sam as being your second option, at least then you could get some young legs and maybe he could run and create something. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And I
Is
think
Sam-
that's what that was. It was like,
is-
okay, if this offensive line is playing like shit, we're going to put Sam out there and make him the sacrificial leg.
Okay. Yeah.
Is Sam QB2 right now? Is he still QB2?
Yes, sir.
Is he?
Yep.
Wow.
And like I said, I think they need to see a little more from this offensive line, that they're going to be able to produce consistently. You know, I mean, in protection.
Before they move Fultz up.
Like I said, you look at you got TJ Watt, and you've got Bosa with the Chargers, and you've got what the Minnesota front four brings, heat from all four spots. It's like
they do. They got a good front.
This offensive line has some tests. If they can hold up to these guys and just give Matt an opportunity to get some of those quick releases and get it to Paris Campbell cutting across the middle or get it to Jonathan Taylor out in the flat, then.
Well, I think the key for Philly to beat Philly,
Achilles
kind of
heel
like
also.
Washington, you got to run the ball on them. You got to run the ball.
Right.
You got to be effective. You got to control the clock, just like the Commanders did on them, and keep them off the field. And if we can do that,
And make sure they give away balls and drop them too.
yeah,
Because if it wasn't for those turnovers, Philly would have killed Washington.
Yeah, well, we could sit there and say if it wasn't for our fumbles and turnovers, the game would have been over by halftime.
I know.
Because you think about it, if Kuti can just say he just completes that pass and gets tackled right there. There's already what? Because didn't they end up scoring points on that turnover? Didn't they get their first touchdown there?
that was their first touchdown. Yeah, on that turnover.
So there's at least a 10, possibly a 14-point swing. And then you sit there and you look at the Michael Pittman Jr. fumble, which granted we recovered it and stuff, but could you imagine if we didn't? We would have lost that game.
Thank you, Mo Alley. Thank you, Mo.
Really.
Thank you, Mo, but thank you, MPJ, for keeping the hustle up because.
Well, no, thank you for that idiot on the Raiders that tried to scoop it, tried to pick it up instead of just falling on the damn thing.
But yeah, like I said, I just, if we lose Matt Ryan, I don't like what I saw from Sam.
But what the thing is with Matt, yeah, he got a shoulder hurt, but man, he's been pretty damn durable over his career. He's only missed now 5 games, 2 of them since he's been here. But
he's also not taking 9 sacks per game, and
no shit.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we definitely didn't back our end of the deal when we signed him. So
You also didn't probably expect. You had four offensive linemen go at the end of the season.
That's a good point too, man.
well, then see, that's my whole point about Ballard. I mean, he knew that there were shortcomings on this O-line, and they didn't do anything to address it. And we saw how the first 10 games of the season went. God knows
I would have at least brought in 2
could we have
guys.
been? Exactly.
Yeah.
What could we have been if this O-line was playing like it was now? What could this season have been?
Yeah, I'm not ready to say now yet because we had that one decent game from the offensive line against the Jags the second time around, and then we turned around and just put a couple stinkers on film afterwards. So it's like I really want to see them hold up against this Eagles front. If we hold up steady, consistently, and I'm not saying that they're not going to give up a sack, but if they can sit there and keep this defensive front at bay and JT can be productive, game on.
That's the big thing. You got to get JT. You got to get JT involved.
I was watching the Philly game, and I will agree with the notion that running the ball against them is kind of their kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to win the game, why not use the best running back to do it?
It's also the Cowboys' kryptonite too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're built
Yeah.
built to win the rest of these games. We're built for, December, January football. We're built for that.
Just think back to what we did to the Buffalo Bills at Buffalo in the snow.
Exactly.
This year?
Yeah.
Last year when we played them.
Oh, well, that's a different team.
Okay, but
Yeah,
but
I know what you're saying. If we can just put a constructive, productive run game, and then let Ryan maybe loosen the box up a little bit and find
dink and dunk and this and that, and the big play will come.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got the play action pass going then if the run game's working.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I mean, everybody. I mean, I know it's sexy when you sit there and watch the ball go 45 yards through the air and caught. I get that, but you know what? If I have to throw a 9-yard pass and then let my guy go and get the other 41 yards with his feet, I'm fine with that. Yeah,
exactly.
let's go. Our receivers happen to block as well.
It counts the same yardage.
Bro, but also like a 9-yard pass or a 10-yard pass for a first down is fine. And then go down. Like, don't risk the other 35. We'll do that on the next 3 plays. 10 yards at a time is the way I look at football. Because otherwise, you are risking getting stripped of the ball and causing a bigger issue.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I'll take that pass to Paris Campbell for a touchdown any day.
yeah.
Okay, brother.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't mind if this team gets their big plays through, like I said, short yardage through the air, and then let the players.
Yep.
Okay, I'm willing to risk. I'm willing to risk JT hold on to the ball, or Paris Campbell, or Michael Pittman Jr., or Alec Pierce, or Kylan Granson. It's like, hey, because I do want some of those big yardage chunk plays, because that's where the offense really starts getting their confidence and their mojo. Plus, then it's a hell of a lot easier on the offensive line. It's a lot easier to sit there and hold protection against these, really good fronts whenever you only have to hold it for the receiver to go 7 or 8 yards. When you got to hold that protection for them to cover 25 yards, then it's a lot tougher.
I want to see our secret weapon come back this Sunday, and that's going to be July. I mean, all he does is catch touchdowns. That's it.
He was light practice today, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was limited practice, so who knows? He might come back. I'd love to see him come back.
I just want to make sure that this O-line keeps balling. I don't give it. Like I said, even if we have to put a 6 offensive lineman up there, I don't care. Just let's keep this line moving the chains with the run.
Well, come on. Let's face it. They made the biggest move. They sat Pryor on the bench. That's the biggest thing. Jesus. It only took 10 games to do it, but damn.
And
at least
and the new coach as well, though. That's the thing. Like, yeah.
See, that was like a money chase to me. Brandon, I think it was, in Discord, had mentioned a few weeks ago that Pryor was still getting snaps, but it was strictly because of what his contract was. And if you're making decisions based that way, and I agree, I felt like you could not sit there and feasibly say he had earned his spot. You couldn't tell me he was the best of the best five, for that offensive line.
Bro, there was no way that he was better than even Eric Fisher last year. Not a chance.
I think he played every spot on that offensive line, but he sucked at every one of them.
Everybody dog shot Eric Fisher last year, like every game. We all did.
Well, there again, that's expectations, and then you get him that big contract. Because he's making a lot more than what Pryor's making this year.
Yeah, but these players, it's not their fault. The money they make, it's the market's fault.
Hell, is Fisher playing this year?
No, sir, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
No. He hasn't retired, though, so he's still eligible. But
no, I think Ryman's doing all right. He looked pretty good. He got beat once. He got beat, a couple times. But, hey, he's a rookie.
like I said, get those guys out there. And Will Fries, I mean, you seen when they put Will Fries out there, he was finishing plays. He
Yes,
was
he was.
driving them feet
Even
all
the
the way to the
even
end.
the best even the best players get beat a couple of times a game. You know,
Well, like I
so
said, the one thing I noticed was I saw Big Q do like he did last year, run down
big
the
Q
field.
team. Yeah.
He was picking up JT when he ran the ball. He'd go down there and pick him up. You didn't see that before, but last week you
Because
saw it.
JT never got past Q on the running plays.
All right, good point.
I know what you mean. I know
Good
what you mean.
point. I wasn't going to bring that up, but
You brought it up.
I did. Yeah, he just had to turn around and look behind him, and there he was. Okay, pick him up. Yeah, it'll be a good game Sunday.
I'm going to be interested. Of course, them coming home, the energy. There's going to be a lot of energy in the stadium just because they're playing a home game after last week, and people are seeing some hope. I want to see how the energy is going to continue for the rest of the season. Because a lot of times when people that they get an interim coach come in, they go out and they win the first game. It's not terribly unusual, but it's how does it continue?
Oh, exactly.
No, I don't want the one win to be a plateau for us. Like that's only the starting point of how we need to play for the rest of the year. I said that we can afford 2 losses and still have a shot to make playoffs still, and that's still a thing. I think, but I would rather beat a team like Philadelphia and then prove to ourselves as the Colts that hey, you just beat probably the best team in the NFL. Fuck it. There's no one that we need to be afraid of.
Not to mention that the way these two teams, and I'm talking about the Colts and Philly, the way their paths over the last couple of years are so intermingled. With Gannon and Sirianni going out there to Philly, and with Rodney McLeod coming here, and just
it's a revenge game. It is.
But I'm just saying that the knowledge that they have of us and the knowledge that we have of them,
for sure,
is going to be another hurdle that you think about it. We understand what Sirianni brings, and to an extent, they understand what we bring. But also, I almost put it. I was going to put Lawrence in, but I guess he can do that on his own. The thing is what was I saying now? Sorry.
I don't know. Leave the key for Lawrence.
Sirianni.
Oh, but the way these two teams are so intermingled and they know us so well, but yet, I mean, we know them pretty well, but do they really? How well do they know this team? Because now you got Park Frazier, who's basically using the Reich playbook. But how much is it as far as when and where those plays get called also versus
Park wasn't Parks here when Sirianni was here too?
That's why I said we know their books, but how much do they know about us? Because how much does Sirianni know about the type of sequence? Because guys, first down plays last week were much, much better than anything we've seen all year from this Colts offense. And the thing is how much of that is Park Frazier just putting same
lay down the law, Lawrence.
Well, it's not all Frank Reich's playbook, right? I mean, obviously he's got an imprint in it because of how important he was to Parks Frazier. But Parks says he talks to all of the offensive coaches and lets them all have inputs in on the plays that he puts in the playbook when preparing for a game. So that's a situation where it's going to be very difficult to deal to make a game plan against Parks because he has a lot of where it's playbook by committee type situation, right? So how do you game plan against 6 people, six different play callers? Because that's basically what Parks Frazier is doing, and it's a freaking brilliant move in all honesty. Because it's going to drastically change from week to week. Now granted, it's going to be a simplified playbook. It's not going to be that you ain't going to see a lot of difficult plays going in on the offense. He keeps it simple because that's what Jeff Saturday wants for this offense and the offensive line and the blocking schemes. But make it simple, make it varied.
But if simple gets you 5-10 yards of play, what does it matter?
That's what I'm saying. If
As long
it's
as you make the
simple,
chains.
it could be varied. But if it's simple, then the offensive line and stuff plays much better, and it would be better. It's good to play a simple play incredibly well than play something that's a difficult play and have a chance of something screwing up. You know,
Well, that's what.
Like
That's what.
like when you're on the 1 yard line and you go with just a simple quarterback sneak versus
hell yeah,
shotgun and RPO pass play.
Well, that's what Saturday said, that they simplified the playbook. They simplified everything. He goes, we're not going to do more. We're going to do less. But what we do, we're going to do better. And we're going to,
you said you do.
No, it does how to do.
You guys have a good night. I got to get up at 2:00 in the morning, so I'm gonna just go into my room and listen to you guys talk about it and stuff.
Awesome, dude. Have a good night.
You're
See you, Lois.
3 in the morning. Good luck, brother.
The majority of us are over 50 years old, and we're all still children at heart.
True.
That is true.
Except Brandon. Brandon was born 50.
What's that disease that you're born an old person and grow young? What's that? Hold on, there was a movie about that actually.
Yeah.
The case of Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button. Yep.
Yep.
Progeria, Hutchinson-Gilford syndrome. Yep.
This fucking Gonzaga game ain't happening.
They tried to get me to do my prediction for the game, and I said I can't do that because my prediction comes out tomorrow. You know, with Rodney, and you know I can't do that. And they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, what's your matchup?" And I was like, "Well, that's easy as shit. AJ Brown versus Stephon Gilmore."
But I would have given them a different one, bro, if I were you. But that's all right.
I was going to say, what'd they ask?
Oh, they asked me they asked me about Saturday and whether Frank Reich was pulled too soon, and they asked about what Saturday brings and just my thoughts about the hire and everything, and just simple everyday. They asked me for my lock of the week, and it didn't have to be about the game, the Colts Eagles games, and I dropped that. My lock was, last week the Bills shouldn't have started Josh Allen with that elbow injury. Yeah, and they look like shit. I think he's going to have another week to rest that. I think that the Bills beat the Browns by 2 touchdowns. You know, I think they're going to have a comeback game bigger than shit against the Browns, and you ain't going to see that. Well, I'm just saying they asked for a lock, not a shock. So
okay, all right. I got you. All right, buddy.
Hey, did you tell them about me? How I'm now a positive Colts fan again, brother? No, I'm just
for now.
Oh, Saint Ninkowski, every time I join other people's podcasts, you're the first name that comes up.
I'm yeah. You should have told him I have this asshole on my Patreon right now.
Yeah.
He's out there being all positive. Meanwhile, 2 years ago, he was being a jackass up to 2 weeks ago, every moment of every day.
Until they get ass raped by the Eagles this weekend. Then he's going to come in here, fire Jeff Saturday, fuck this owner, give him a dance.
No, sir, I will not. I refuse to say that will be true.
Ballard's a piece of shit.
Nope.
Matt Ryan's worst.
Now you're projecting.
Great big Q right now, and Taylor.
Projecting your insecurities onto me.
Oh shoot!
Oh.
but that's okay.
Darius Leonard needs to retire.
Darius Leonard, we
He
can talk about that. He's another one.
he's not someone that I am not on the whole idea that Darius Leonard is freaking injury prone. This is a issue.
I did not say injury prone,
No, but
Lawrence.
there's a lot of people out there that are saying that.
I said that get what you can for him because maybe maybe we've seen the top of his career.
Well, the top of his career. How many players in the NFL do you know that gets 15 turnovers in a season? I mean, shit. Of course, he's at the top of his career. He's at the prime of his life. But at the same time, I mean, he still earned the contract that he has gotten.
Okay,
And the situation, they brought Darius back too soon. People were complaining that he wasn't there, wasn't in the games, that he was, didn't. Now I'm looking at you, Ninkowski, on this one. That didn't have the will to play anymore and didn't
yeah,
want to be out there.
I
You
said
know,
all that shit. I
uh,
will own it. I
but
did.
but that's not the case. The fact was he was still hurting. He was not ready to come back. He even said himself, "I'm playing slow. I'm not up to my speed." And then he got a setback and had to have surgery again.
Well, he had
So
the nerves in his calf weren't firing. They weren't
mhm.
responding like they should, and it was slowing him down.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a situation I feel like, let the man have all this time to recuperate, right? He doesn't have to wait from June on surgery and then come back in October to play. He's had the surgery. He's had a renewed surgery here in November, and he won't have to worry about even touching a field until,
April.
May or June.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Well, Jesus, the man played injured all last year, and look what he did.
My
For God's sakes.
My problem with Darius Leonard to begin this whole saga was why wait until the beginning of training camp or thereabouts to go and have your initial surgery, bro.
Well, that's a situation with the doctors. The doctors were thinking that this first off they thought that it was an ankle injury. They didn't realize that it was a spinal neck injury. And then they found the problem too late, and then he had to have the surgery. That's not on Leonard. That's on the doctors, right? That's like the whole situation with Andrew Luck and his
Then fire the doctors
calf,
because
ankle, freaking foot situation. Doctors had no idea what the hell was wrong with his foot.
then the doctors are the issue, and they should eat the brunt of my wrath because
I
because
disagree
because
there.
because
Yeah.
this is not the first time that they've done this with a superstar player.
Yeah, I do not disagree with you there. And what's funny is, who is the doctors for the Colts? The IU medical staff. All right. And the IU medical staff is considered to be a top 10 medical staff in the nation. And yet they can't find these things and figure it out. What's going on?
Come on, man.
You
There's
know?
an issue. There's an issue there because if Andrew Luck's injury was taken care of in time, maybe he's still playing quarterback. We never have Carson Wentz, and everything is different.
I can't argue with you on that. I actually kind of side with you on this on that topic and that side. I do agree. But who are they going to turn to? That's a local doctor team, to do their stuff when, the IU medical is, considered the best in the state. Let
Bro,
alone.
but evident, I'm not saying change them, but
Oh, are we going to have Riley's Kids Hospital doctors come in
No,
and
no,
start doing?
Nope. Yeah, that's it. Peyton Manning's Children's Hospital.
I'm saying that these men put their bodies through hell to play every week, even when they're not injured. And when they get injured, they should have the best care because it all comes back to the team. Like it doesn't matter if Darius Leonard Darius Leonard would not be injured if it wasn't for football right now, right? So these people deserve to have the best doctors taking care of them, not some amateur that's falling short.
Didn't Darius have this procedure? He didn't have this procedure here in Indiana. He's out west somewhere where he got that done.
Yeah, but it got found out. Is what I'm saying. The doctors are the ones that looked it up and found it out, and that was the Colts medical staff that do all that, searching through and finding things and stuff, and then the player or the team pays a specialist to go take care of that, right? But
even more so for me and for this team was the whole Andrew Luck fiasco, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
Andrew Luck retires 2 weeks before the start of the season. We don't have a quarterback. We need to go buy Matt's third string quarterback just to have some semblance of a team, like some semblance of a starter.
So, little inside information. It does say on the injury report that Rodney McLeod was out due to rest. The fact of the matter is he does have a hip pointer.
Yeah.
He had to go through a lot of treatment on Monday and Tuesday.
I saw your Patreon version today of Belief.
Okay. Yeah.
And
he said he was going to be fine.
Yeah. He was going to be good, but he needs the rest. Yeah.
Holding him to that.
I want to say that Gilly Lock interview probably your best interview to date, brother.
And yet it's only got like 700 views. I don't understand it. I do not understand it.
Are you sure that you're not shadow banned because of some shit that I said?
No, dude, my film room that I just dropped today, give me 1 second. I'll tell you how many views it's got.
Because that's not possible. 700 views only? Like.
Okay, so 10 hours, my film room's been out. It's got 2.6 thousand views.
Oh, man.
Gilly Lock's on 700? Wow.
Situations like that, when you have interviews and stuff, the best way of getting views for that is sharing. People, that's why I dropped it in Discord, and asked people in Discord to share it out, because for some reason interviews don't get seen as much on YouTube as film rooms and things like that you could hashtag on. But this one, yeah,
because I know that there are two players, right? So McLeod kind of makes him feel at home, so to speak, like talking to another player. But I feel like he was a natural at it, like just talking to you, like it was just a really good interview. But
okay, so it's gotten an extra 160 views since I looked earlier today. So it's got 860 views now.
Okay, but it should have 8,000 views,
I don't disagree with you.
Now I got to ask you something, Lawrence. Okay, I saw that, and I saw where Rodney said he could probably get a couple more players to come on. Mm-hmm. I got to know, one of them has got to be Defoe. That would be the best thing for you.
Yes, because he's my favorite player on the damn team. I would shit myself. I'd be absolutely ecstatic to have freaking Defoe on my show.
Boy, man. You would be a fanboy.
Oh, I would. The first thing I'd be like is, look, dude, my picture.
Yeah, you have a fucking big ass picture of him, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I remember.
But Gerard said he's going to get all three coaches, player coaches on. Now obviously because he played with them, he knows the guys anyhow, like Mike Mitchell, and like he's close with Mike Mitchell. He's close with Reggie Wayne. He's close with Cato June. I'm assuming he's close with Jeff Saturday, but that might be limited.
I was going to say you need to get Saturday on there.
No, but even like I'm sure in the off season, why not? Like Jeff would come on.
He'd probably do it. He
chat.
probably would do it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah, definitely. But I don't want to bother them when they're in their,
No, of course not.
they're at home trying to relax, get away from football type stuff, that'd be really rude of me to step in and bug them in that situation.
But it's not. See, you're lucky because it's not always you having to make those calls. It's like you have two guys that were in that building and one that is right now. Like
Yeah.
McLeod is in there right now.
Well, he's already said that Kenny Moore asked to be on the show too, so
Yeah.
that's another one. So
That'd be a good one.
mhm.
Say, Kenny, what the fuck have you been doing all year? Jesus, where the hell have you been?
Yeah, that'll be the first thing that comes out of my mouth. Sure.
You know,
Where
that's
the
what
hell have you
that-
been?
that would probably be the first thing that comes out of my mouth, and that's why I don't have a YouTube.
Right.
fucking channel, right? Okay.
See, there's a reason why I have trust of the players in the team. I mean, they know I'm not gonna
But that's
fucking
that-
shit on them.
that-
If I was Greg Doyle, I'd not ever have any interview ever for someone.
But that's why Matt Conti texts with you and not me, right?
It's gonna be hard because I know there's got to be questions you want to ask, but you can't.
I can, but off air before I even hit record for the Patreon. I do it all the time.
Right.
We'll talk before or after. And I'll hit that before I hit record or after I hit end recording. Then we have personal conversations. And that's where a lot of my inside information comes in that I can't technically share, but at least I know. And it helps me with a lot of my takes. So. Like the whole Frank Wright choosing Ellinger, and it wasn't Jim Irsay, it was Frank. That's shit.
That's an inside info.
Yeah.
scoop.
That's stuff right there. Yeah, that's stuff that that's what I found out. Oh,
At some point.
yeah.
Just
I,
say
I,
that.
have, I have a question.
We've already had a heated discussion about that anyway.
I got a question for everybody.
What's up, Jack?
We know at the end of the year we're going to have to go through. Yeah. We're going to have to go through a coach hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do you think would be on that list?
Eric Bieniemy.
Thank you. Okay, there's one.
I wouldn't hire him to clean my shitter, but
I have a question.
he's going to be on the list.
I have a
Oh, I
question.
think he'll have to be on the list because he's one of the few high end minority guys.
Brian Flores.
I would not mind Brian Flores.
I have a
in all
question.
I wouldn't
honesty.
I
either.
have a question.
Honestly, I think you guys, that's exactly who you hire.
Well, go ahead.
I have a question though. Like before these, I know that a kind of a franchise can have their guy in mind, right? So you still have to kind of go through token interviews and whatever because of the Rooney Rule and whatever else. But those interviews can be just that, correct? In a situation, if a guy has already kind of been picked behind the scenes, or does that?
Well, here's the situation. You do not bring a guy in, and this is my honest opinion. You do not bring a guy in as a token interview.
No, hell no.
You do not even because that's time and money, and you want to hire the guy that you got to hire a guy to fill that position as soon as possible, right? So you're actually going to bring in guys that have even the slightest of chance, even what your quote unquote token interviews aren't just coming in just because you actually honestly believe that there's something about that person that you may actually hire them. They may walk in and you might already have your eyes set on somebody else, but you're going to take that interview seriously.
Right. Correct.
Let me put this.
Change your mind.
Yeah. That's why you take it seriously, right?
Let me put this to you. Say Saturday goes 6-2. That's the way. Do you think he has a legitimate shot of being the head coach next year?
Yes.
I do too.
Yes.
Which is sad because there's multiple coaches that became intern coaches that had winning seasons as an intern coach and then did not get the job.
Right.
Richie Bisaccia,
Yeah, you talk about the Raiders, right?
yes.
Yeah. Freddie
He's the-
Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens is a great example.
Yeah. You know, there's guys out there that have had that and did not get the job. You know,
Yeah, we should have hired Bruce Arians.
I don't know about all that. Andrew Luck would have been dead by 2010 or 20. Yeah,
I'm not a big Bruce Arians fan.
he didn't even come into the NFL until 2012. He'd have been dead by 2010 if Bruce Arians was his freaking coach.
They killed him in advance.
Right.
Ask Flores about being a token interview.
Yeah, I understand that, and I get that, you know. Well, that's something that he felt, you know. He said that he felt that way because of the way that they the way things were happening when he walked in, and what he felt like, the attitude that they already knew who they were going to pick. And generally, when you go in to a hiring process, you already have your favorite guy, you know, no matter what, you know, but you still have to take an interview somewhat seriously. You know, they denied the fact that, you know, the GM was drunk when he did the freaking interview for him, where Flores was saying that. Was Flores the primary guy? Probably not. You know, I get that as well. So they were probably, you know,
satisfying the Rooney Rule.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I'm sure that they took that interview seriously enough. It's just, you know, when you walk into an interview, that first 10 seconds of meeting someone in an interview is the most important part of that entire interview. You have to capture their attention immediately and then hold it. If you don't capture it immediately, it's almost impossible to grab it afterwards, you know? So, I mean, we've all had bad interviews in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Oh.
I just wonder if Ballard doesn't survive, who do we get as a GM?
I think Ballard survives. I think Ballard is going to be given one more year. No questions asked, I think, actually. I think when Irsay said he's guaranteed next year, I think he was telling the truth. I think this is a situation where Irsay is going to tell him, you have to get a quarterback for the future this year, you know, and then we'll see what happens from next year. I think that's the situation that Ballard's in.
So let
me ask you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Goki.
No, just quickly. Let's say we get like a mid-first round pick because we'll make the playoffs, right? But what do you guys think? Who falls to us in terms of a quarterback? Because I'm thinking we're getting someone in the first round with that pick.
Dude, here's the situation. It doesn't matter if we get the 10th pick or the 32nd pick. The Colts have ammunition to move up to get to the first pick, or the 5th pick at least, in the NFL if they absolutely freaking wanted to. They have the ammunition to do that because Ballard has built such a damn good team that we have a whole lot of players that we can throw in with a trade.
You would have to give up pieces off your active roster.
You know what? That's better. That's better than losing out, having a shitty ass season, losing your players' trust, losing your coach's trust, losing the trust of players outside of your team, right?
Right.
Where they don't want to come in because, you know, your locker room is shit, obviously, because you just tried to tank or something like that, right? So that's a situation where I feel like trading one of your players away is a better situation to go with a first, second, and a third round pick to move up in a draft than having a bad season and trying to. That's why the Browns were in such a shit show for so long, because no one wanted to go there, and they didn't have the players to trade. They didn't have, sure, they could get a high first round pick year after year after year, but nobody wanted to go there. No one wanted to stay there, because it was a shit show. And if you tank, then that's putting out to the NFL that basically you're a shit show this year, and nobody's going to want to come play for you or stay with you.
All right, going after on top like what Goki was saying, but say we go ahead and we get a quarterback next year, first round. We still have Matt Ryan for another year. And Jeff Saturday already said Matt Ryan's the starting quarterback for the rest of this season. Do we still start Matt next year and let this young guy learn?
Yes.
Depends on the player you draft, whether you feel like he is that type of guy that can start, because there's different players that you draft, different quarterbacks, different situations like that. You know what I mean? A lot of it has to do with the development and also the mental capacity of the player that you're picking. But also, it also depends upon how well Matt Ryan plays the rest of the season, right? If Matt Ryan still shows that he's got it this season, then that's going to put that edge marker into starting Ryan next year and letting the guy that you draft sit for a year.
That's what I think they should do. Seriously, not a better player to learn under than Matt.
No, but I mean, obviously, a lot of that depends upon how Matt Ryan also plays. I mean,
Right.
if Matt Ryan shits the bed the next 7 freaking games, you're going to want to move on. So there's too many variables still. There's still too many variables for the season to really make that decision at this point. You all right there, Joe?
I can't do it. I can't do it.
What are you talking about, Thornberg?
Why is that even a question? Why is that even a question?
Why is what a question?
Do you start Matt Ryan next year? Why is that even a question? I mean, I'm sorry. It's like, look, dude, that is okay. This is the thing with this fucking Colts team. Okay, you've had a different fucking quarterback every single fucking year.
8 quarterbacks in 9 years. Okay, that's a goal. No, I'm just playing. It's not.
There's some, like I said, there's some people that, if you want them to be your franchise quarterback, you want them to start right off the bat. I mean,
I disagree with that.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah,
that trial by fire was absolutely important to him.
There's no player that's in the next 3 drafts that's Peyton Manning.
No, but I'm saying mentally, that was important to him. Now, there's some players that grow from trial under fire. There's some players that fold in trial under fire. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say it really depends on multiple different things in that situation. It depends upon the person that you.
Whoa.
Okay.
StreamYard just took a shit, didn't it?
Yeah. Okay. I thought it was just me, man. I was like,
but if everything works well, if everything works properly,
did I have a stroke?
Yeah, we all did.
we all did.
If everything works the way you want it to work, then Matt Ryan does start next year, and whoever you draft sits under him for a year.
Jesus, I feel like I'm on Hollywood Squares here or something. What the hell?
Yeah,
StreamYard, we're not having the stroke. StreamYard is having the stroke.
Right, yeah.
Too old for
This
this
is a server
shit.
problem. This is a server problem.
Jesus. It's like, okay, who's going to be where next?
I'm getting dizzy.
I'm guaranteed to be up in this top left-hand corner.
Yeah, he can't.
No,
move.
I agree. I asked that question just for the simple fact, the way NFL teams go about it, it seems like they got to draft this young guy and they got to get him out there. And I don't like it. I'd rather Matt start next year. Learn under the guy. Learn how to be a pro. Learn how to, do what you're expected of you. That's a big part of this game that people underestimate. You got to learn how to be a pro.
Yeah.
And
a guy
these
that
kids come in from college, and God, I mean, there's so many supposedly, the next Andrew Lucks out there that come in and just fall flat in their face. So,
well, like I said, the Peyton Mannings, the Andrew Lucks, guys like that are mentally prepared to start in the NFL. They're rare, few and far between.
But even Andrew Luck, had he come out a year earlier, right, and he could have sat behind Peyton Manning, he would have been better for it.
He wouldn't have sat behind Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had the neck surgery the year before.
Okay, you're right, but he was still part of the Colts organization. So in my mind, he's the starter. You're right though. For all intents and purposes, you're right. He would have had the ball.
He would have been the starter, but he would have had Peyton Manning there to talk with him at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lois wants to know if anybody was worried about Matt Ryan's feeling about the organization next year. I think he's a pro. If he's under contract for 2 years, I think he'd play for 2 years.
What's funny is in today's press conference with Matt Ryan, they asked him, had this happened 5 years ago, had he been benched, how would he have reacted? And he said, look, I've grown as a player over my time in the NFL. And had I been benched 5 years ago, I would have acted completely different than I did this year.
I'm sure.
He said that he was straight up honest with it, and they asked him, have you ever been benched before? And he says, technically, no. In college, I came in for the injured starter, played a few games, and then the injured starter got healthy and took back over, but that wasn't, being benched. That was, filling in as the next man up.
Going back to your initial role, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that they just handled that whole mess wrong. They should have never said that. They should have said, Matt's injured, he's banged up, he's going to be for a couple weeks, and we're going with Sam and take it from there. But
that was 2017.
It was Frank's decision, as we kind of hear through the vine, put it that way. If it was Frank's decision, then I'm assuming his decision was it was going to be for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so that's how that came out. And then, turn around and be looking for a job.
But hold on though. I want to kind of dig deeper a little bit in a good way. I'll be good. I'll behave myself. If that's the point, like if that was Frank's mindset, why would that be anyone's idea of making this team better?
Well, in that situation, they couldn't figure out how to get the offensive line to work, right? And they thought that I understand the idea of putting Ellinger in when Matt Ryan got hurt and putting him in over Nick Foles because you wanted that mobility.
Though. But to come out and say that Matt Ryan is done for the year because Sam Ellinger is the number one?
But that's what I say. I think if it was Reich's decision, I think that was Reich's decision that that he was going to play Ellinger the rest of the year.
Like if Matt Ryan is healthy, Matt Ryan plays, whether it's Frank Reich or Jeff Saturday or Gopke being the head coach. Like, the better man, the more experienced, the more fit for the job right now wins the job every day.
Well, to be fair, the game against Washington, Sam Ellinger looked pretty damn good. All right, he did. He looked pretty damn good, but he wasn't under pressure nearly as much as what he was against the Patriots.
Yeah, but Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, too. He looked good for 3 games.
Yeah, but we're also not there during practice. We don't know what Nick Foles and Sam Ellinger look like, in practice, during that time. Maybe Sam Ellinger was playing better than Nick Foles was, and if that's the case, you put your best guy out there.
But
at that situation.
Why are we saying that Matt Ryan is done for the year when there's so much time left in the year? If he comes back from the injury and he's ready to go, you put him back in.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Like
Scapegoat
a
culture. Scapegoat culture. The whole scapegoat culture. So
yeah.
Frank Reich is pissing down his fucking leg, realizing that he can't fucking really get a guy run a fucking team by himself. So he scapegoats his fucking, you scapegoat Carson Wentz, you scapegoat your offensive coordinator, then you scapegoat Matt Ryan. Well, it's all their fault. It's not me. It's them. You get this whole finger pointing bullshit going on, and we were just talking about this. Like
the last month was about Frank Reich trying to save his job. It was Jim Irsay saying, "Get this fixed. I don't care what or how you do it, but you need to get this fixed, or else." And Frank Reich was doing everything he could that he thought that he could do, trying whatever possibilities he could in order to save his job. And it failed.
Talked about this, man. Fire the offensive line coach. That's your worst fucking problem. Get rid of him.
I don't disagree with that. But
I still don't know why he's there.
But I do. I know why. Because they don't have.
They're already down 2 coaches.
Well, even then, if you fire Strausser, who are you going to put in his place? Because Kevin Mawai only has a year of experience.
Okay,
and,
so
he's still learning how to be an offensive line coach.
Here's the rub. Okay, here's the fucking rub. Do you think any of these fucking race baiting motherfuckers in the media would be bitching if Jeff Saturday took an offensive line coach's position for the Indianapolis Colts?
Probably not.
No,
not at all. Now, whether he would have taken the job or not,
I'm assuming that was probably the coaching position that he was talking about when he said that he had been offered multiple jobs from different teams to be a coach. And I'm assuming that's an assumption, in my opinion, by the way. I don't know for a fact that it was an offensive line coach position. And, so.
Because all these fucking people care about, and I'm not a racist person, okay, but all these people care about is they want a black guy in charge of everything.
Yes.
They don't care. They don't care what the results are. They don't care anything. They don't care. As long as it's a black guy, everything's just fine. And that's the issue I have a problem with. It's like, no, you hire the best guy for the job.
Right. They always bring up the race card and they always throw it out there every move that's made.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with having a black head coach. I love.
No, if they're the best man for the job at the given time, why not?
I have no issue with that. Whatever, none.
Nope.
We've had
Flores too.
We've had Coach Dundee and Jim Caldwell as well.
It's just, dude, Eric.
Like honestly, I expect Todd Bowles to be a head coach soon.
What? He is though.
Not Todd Bowles.
Bieniemy?
No. The offensive coordinator.
Which one?
Leftwich?
For who?
Yes, Byron Leftwich.
Oh, Byron Leftwich, yeah.
I think Byron Leftwich deserves a head coaching position. I think he's shown enough over the last couple years with Bucks. I would take him seriously. Yes. Brian Flores, another guy. I think
I don't think the NFL allows that Brian Flores though. I'm sorry, I just don't think they do.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, bullshit.
Because of the lawsuits and whatever else bullshit that was brought up in the Miami whole fiasco.
Got a job in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he does, but he's working
still too.
He's okay, but he's working under Tomlin, who handpicked the guy. Come here, you're gonna be my assistant.
He still adds to our defense. That's less bullshit that Tomlin's got to deal with. Who do you think's running that defense? It ain't Tomlin.
I'm not saying no, but it's different being an assistant and being given a head coaching job. I don't know. I could be way off base.
I get that part.
I thought Loyalist was going to bed.
Yeah, but he's listening to it. He's listening.
Yeah. He's also commenting every once in a while.
Yeah.
That hard to sleep when you're commenting.
He's laying in bed with his computer.
Yeah, that's not really.
And that's fine because
Matt,
I
Matt,
don't
watch
wanna
your
see him laying
jacket,
in
bub.
bed.
You might set yourself on fire.
Oh, no.
Good sleep with the computer in your lap.
I mean, so again, that's on, whether or not Saturday, then it comes down to whether or not Saturday you wanted to take the offensive line coach's job for Indy is basically what we're looking at here. Because that would have been that would have been where I would have looked to say, okay, it's the offensive line. We're not getting enough out of these dudes. And we've seen it time and time and time again. Because we were talking about this in week 2 or 3. Let's figure out where the problem is. And we've seen this shitty offensive line from the Colts all the way through the midseason. And it's look, if you're going to get rid of one guy, if you're gonna fucking scapegoat somebody, you don't scapegoat another fucking quarterback. You don't scapegoat your offensive coordinator.
What you just popped on the screen actually makes a lot of sense.
Well, in a way, there's a couple. Go ahead, and then I'll continue after you're done with your thought there, Joe.
No, I already pretty much completed it. Just saying.
Okay, so Loyalist, in my opinion, there's two things. First off, the offensive side of the coaching for the Colts right now is already incredibly thin, right? And then not just that, where's Mawai's mental aspect? Does he have the leadership qualities to do this? Does he want to take over the position? You got to ask yourself that as well. Is he ready for it? There's a bunch of different stuff. I mean, if he's ready to fill in for the spot, absolutely. But then you're going to have to find an assistant for him. Where do you go to get an assistant for him? There's a bunch of different stuff, plus the fact that they're already short. And Strausser with Saturday. Strausser comes from the same pedigree that Saturday came from, right? He comes from that same line. So this is a situation where Saturday might be actually helping Strausser out in this situation and getting him back online and back in track.
I get you.
All right.
So that was just a question. It was just a question,
And what line is that, Lawrence? Just to be clear.
Well, I mean, you think about last year. Strausser was the offensive line coach last year, and for the most part, the offensive line did a pretty darn good job overall. And now this year something different has changed, right? And maybe Saturday's there to get that back on track, so for him to sit here and maybe talk to Strausser and be like, hey, look, remember, this is what our coach from back in the day used to say and used to do. Maybe go back to that way as well,
Howard Mudd.
Yep.
It's kind of funny, though, how Jeff said that, he was in a consultant role for us this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Strausser. Yeah, I talked to Strausser several times.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing changed then.
Well, I mean, there's a difference between being a consultant and being there on a daily basis also. To be able to actually physically see everything that's going down, how the guy's handling things, coaching, dealing with the players, things of that nature. So
I have a question about interviews, though. Does the Rooney Rule imply that the candidate has to be from outside the building completely?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Well, that could be a good thing.
They are wanting to expand the Rooney Rule to interim coaches, though.
No, they just have to have the right the skin color. Which I'm sorry, but I'm really sorry. I think that not that I
They're starting to include draft picks with the Rooney.
Not that I have an issue with that. Again,
you
hire the best fucking guy.
I have an issue.
You don't
my wife
fucking think like that.
My wife brought up a point No, it wasn't my wife did say, but someone else said this on a podcast that I saw earlier. I just in your idea here, Joe. They all want to say, well, there's so many players, that are, that situation, and there's all these black players that are, not able to become coaches, blah blah blah. Well, can we have a reverse one where maybe a white or a Hispanic uh, defensive back has to be looked at to be drafted to be a player, because there are zero white defensive backs in the NFL right now.
That's actually a good point. Shout out to your wife.
It's just ridiculous. You hire the best guy for the job. I'll tell you one thing. Where you fucking lose that mentality, where you one of the places where you completely lose that mentality. There's two places, in my opinion, that I've been where that mentality is just out the fucking window. Okay, one of them's in a locker room, and the other one's in the United States military.
Hey,
where that is just not even a thought in your fucking head about what color somebody is.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
I do have an issue with the Rooney Rule, just quickly, but it's actually in favor of black qualified head coaches, because if you are getting brought in just because of the color of your skin, that actually takes away from your possible quality.
I've seen that before.
They're looking at you just as a stepping stone because they have to.
That's been brought up by a lot of Hall of Fame people over the last few years on why they dislike the Rooney Rule in the first place. They understand that they understand the basis of the Rooney Rule, and they like the idea of what it represents. But at the same time,
racist world it worked, but not now.
But yeah, it kind of demeans the interview in the first place, just because you are a Rooney Rule interview, and that's not cool. That in and of itself, to me, makes it a bit of a racist situation.
Exactly. That's the whole fucking point. That's the whole point. Like, we're only interviewing this guy because we have to, kind of shit. It was like, first shift at Smith & Wesson. Every fucking single operator they had on there, they were all Hispanic. You didn't have one single white motherfucker working on first shift in that fucking place. And because the first shift supervisor was Hispanic, so he didn't give a shit how terrible those people were. He had his own thing going on with that. And you want to talk about nepotism? I've seen it the other fucking way, where I ain't gonna worry about my job. I'm not getting written up. I could be the biggest bag of shit, that motherfucking cocksucker. Fucking Ramos. He was the biggest piece of shit you could possibly imagine. But he got the job because he was family, and he knew the supervisor's family, and he was the right color. And it's like, dude, you can't do your job, but you're not going to lose your job. But they're going to come after somebody like me.
Especially.
Oh, guess what? Remember last week when I had to jump off here because of the police?
Yes. Yeah, but the high school?
Yes. Yeah, the high school.
I found out what that was all about.
Okay.
Exactly what it was all about. I was actually pulled over like earlier that week by a police officer, right? Okay. And we was on our way to the hospital because it was like 2 weeks prior or something like that, when I was having my bowel issues.
Yes.
Right. And so I get pulled over by this cop. Cop's nice as heck to us, right? Really, really cool dude. Let us go. I was in the wrong at that time, didn't even get a ticket, right? He was really cool with
you going to the hospital.
Mexican dude. He was a Mexican cop, right?
Yeah.
But very, very nice guy. Apparently he was at the basketball game over at the high school, like I was talking about, and he got jumped by an entire gang of black guys and got
No
beat the hell
shit.
out of. Yep.
Mm.
Wow.
See,
And
Yeah, they called
one cop, and that explains why there was 17 cop cars that went by my house.
Well,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes
they,
sense.
they called all cars.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. You do not.
Yeah, the
You do
cop
not.
starts getting the shit beat out of him. Yeah, that's
Yeah, they call
beat,
all
man.
the cars. Yeah, yeah. And let me tell you what, those black guys wish they never did that.
You got to break that shit up, dude. You can't have that. You put the best person for the job in that position. I don't give a shit what color you are. Yeah, I just don't. That to me is not even a fucking thought in my fucking head. But when you
Especially
start
in a-
doing that shit,
especially
how
in
can
a
it
league
not be?
especially in a league where 80% of the players are like black, bruh. So race shouldn't even be a question. Either way, you know
I
what I'm
don't get it.
saying? No. I'm agreeing with your point. Is basically what I'm saying, bro.
I think equality is a situation where
Like-
look, is there still racism in the country? Yeah, occasionally.
Obviously,
you see it.
but it's
Yeah.
not just white people
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah, there's racism. Well, there's they say that you can't be racist if you're a minority.
Fuck
have you heard that argument? Have you heard that argument?
Fuck you,
That-
you can.
But it
that
doesn't-
is the dumbest
Turn
argument.
on
it doesn't
CNN.
make, it
The
doesn't make
dumbest argument I've ever heard.
it
Yeah, what's
doesn't
that
make
fucking
sense.
jagoff's name? Lemon? That fucking piece of shit.
It doesn't make sense. Anyone can be racist. Like it doesn't make sense. You can't be racist if you're a minority.
I mean, if you listen to people, and then you listen to people like, okay, Terry Crews, or the Hodge twins. I mean, they don't. Neither one of them. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't see that shit either. They don't think in those terms. They just don't. It's like anytime you are forced to think in those terms, it's toxic.
Yeah.
Period. It's like it's just toxic.
yeah, well,
See, another thing is, there's a lot of, I understand that if you're a minority, that occasionally you come across racism personally, but believe it or not, I've come across racism against myself from minorities.
No shit.
of course.
It's never
sure.
brought up. Never brought up.
Of course not.
And I think that's incredibly wrong. Of just the general populace of completely ignoring.
Bro, I
the
don't know about you guys, but having moved to North America, like I've seen it. Like, it doesn't take much.
Dude, we
It's-
squashed that shit 150 years
It's
ago.
it's as easy as a motherfucker telling you to go back where you come from.
No, but what I'm saying about that is though, like the whole point being, all right, like I don't know, man. Fucking, as soon as you start putting restrictions on things like that, where you or you start doing things based on just inclusion in general, that to me is the most token. Like, well, we have to do this because, well, it's like, no. So like if you think about like back in the 50s, all right, and where, everything was segregated. Obviously there were policies in place to keep things segregated. And then they said, fuck all these policies. We're just going to integrate everything. Leave it like that. Just leave it like that. We're just going to integrate everything. We're going to give everybody equal opportunity.
The only issue with that is, the rule of canceling segregation did not get rid of the racism either. There was still hardcore racism in those areas, even though the rules were there in place of that. I mean, man, I'm not going to deny I have
Okay.
grandparents and great grandparents that were racist, right? I mean, they were, and we grew up in Indiana. and they were racist. It is what it is. It sucks, but this is a different day and age, and I think that we need to approach things in a different way in order to get rid. Because I don't think we'll ever get rid of racism totally.
No,
I think it's always going to be there, but we
Can't
have to
get rid
approach
of-
this in a completely different way than what we are right now.
okay. So from my perspective, if I run a diner, okay,
Who do we drop?
I don't know, Matt.
It's like Brandon.
No,
I
I'm
think.
here. I'm here. I'm here.
Well, Brendan.
Brandon.
Brandon, he's probably tired. Doesn't want to. When you bring shit up like this, you don't want to have anything to do with it. But it's just from my thinking. Okay, if I run a diner and I want to treat a customer like shit because of the color of their skin, I'm going to lose business.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to me, it's that simple. Like, I'm going to serve look, you're just as valuable to me as, I mean, it's that simple to me. Like, it just in terms of economics and, paper. Like,
Absolutely.
think about it.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, if I treat everybody equally, I'm going to attract more flies with honey than I am with shit, basically.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So, I mean, you're going to have people out there that have that mentality, and nothing you say to them is going to change their mind. But I don't operate that way. But I'm not going to try to force somebody else to operate that way. I'm just going to let them suffer the consequences of their shitty decisions. That's just kind of how I come at this whole thing with all of that. Like, I would much rather just have,
You'd be Mel's Diner.
I mean, seriously, dude.
Go out and hire Tootie right away.
Yeah.
Goddamn right, man. Hey, what are we doing here? Like, hey, we got good stuff here. Let's everybody,
Yeah,
everything here is good. We're all in the same. We're all in the shit together, no matter what. It doesn't matter to me.
That's right.
It just bothers me when you start putting these kinds of, like,
Mel's
all
Diner and Tootie. Who here did not get that reference? You did not get it, Ninkowski?
No, sir, because I do not watch TV.
Well, and
Yeah.
it
that's
came
too
out
bad.
before you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved
came
it.
out-
I love that. I love that TV show.
Alice.
No, sir, I do not watch TV. Like, even shit that comes out like today, other than sports, I don't watch much, bro.
I've got
No,
shit.
we didn't have nothing else
Shit
back
anyway.
then.
We didn't have that much to
We
watch.
didn't have nothing else back then. Like, back then, you
That's
turned
true.
the TV on, you saw them squiggly lines when the reception was really shitty, and you thought you might have seen a boob in there somewhere. And you're like,
Hey,
hold
man,
on, who's got the antenna?
Yeah, that's when you
I
wrap
was
the
antenna.
with
I was the antenna
foil.
man. I was my dad's antenna. I was the channel changer. I was the up and down button. I was
Yep,
the remote
you-
control man.
You were the remote.
You wrap the rabbit ears with
We all
the
grew
foil
up, I
to
think.
try to get reception.
Exactly, you did. You wrapped the antenna ears with foil.
Oh, good for
Thank you.
I didn't mean to
for-
bring up an explosive topic or be
No, it's-
bombastic or
no, we were
try
not
to be racist or anything like that. But to me, that is the dumbest thing.
It is, and I agree. I
It's
agree 100% with you.
Well, it's the
Like, why people even think like that today or have that
I'll tell you what.
thought in their mind. Like,
Did everybody? I mean, he's talking about Flo, but I mean, come on, Joe. Everybody had a crush on Joe, didn't they? I mean,
Yeah.
Joe was the shit. I mean, it is what it is. But I want to thank you, Matt, for bringing up Mel's Diner because I am
No
on
problem.
I'm on season 6 of Benson right
Oh,
now.
are you?
Yeah,
Oh,
and,
nice.
there's only 7 seasons of it. So once I finish that, I'm going to Mel's Diner.
Oh, are
Because
you?
I'm on this kick of going back and watching older sitcoms
Nice.
because sitcoms today are ass.
Mhm.
Can't even find any good ones. So I started off, remember I was watching Mork and Mindy for a while. I'm in Benson now. And then once Benson is done, I'm going to go to Mel's Diner.
Shit,
I should do Alice.
I should do Roseanne. I should do Roseanne.
All right.
Go back and watch Soap. Go back and watch Soap, or go back and watch All in the Family.
All in the I tried to look for Mama's Family and couldn't find it.
Yeah, Mama's Family was kind of obscure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved Mama's Family.
I still look. I
can probably get that. I can probably get that.
I still go back to All in the Family. So
yeah,
and the Jeffersons
and
yep, the Jeffersons.
All through that era.
I love that show.
I forgot how good the Benson was. Benson is a damn good TV show, but
I actually my mom told me a story about when I was a little kid, and I don't remember this, but I used to I had to watch the Jeffersons when I was like a little kid because I loved dancing to the song, and I loved watching the show.
Moving on up.
George and Easy. I love that show.
2 or 3 bucks apartment.
I grew up watching the Electric Company and Sesame Street. But to me, that was just never like an issue. But then again, I grew up in Pittsburgh where we had like all these different cultures too. It wasn't just like skin color. We had all these different cultures too. We had, back then, I mean, you didn't have the integration that you have today just based on logistics, but you had, I mean, I could go out and drop all kinds of offensive words right now, but
I mean, but they're not offensive words.
You had Germans, Italians.
They're descriptive words of what people called themselves.
You had Jews.
What was the boss?
Mel,
you can kiss my grits.
you had all that. Ukrainians, Russians, Poles, Irish, all these different cultures from all these different backgrounds.
The Mix, the Pinkos.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, same shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were all different. They all had different ways of doing things. But in Pittsburgh, you all had to work together. You all had to realize how to work together and figure it out. And eventually those people became your family.
Yeah.
Yep. Has anybody everybody been to Hawaii?
No, sir.
No, I've not. My parents have.
I used to live out there. I lived there for 4 years. And you talk about a place where you've got so many different individuals, Portuguese, Vietnamese, Japanese, Chinese, Samoans, Philippines, Hawaiians. It's so many different cultures.
See, now that's
and you're out there on a rock in the middle of the ocean, and I mean, there's nowhere to go. So I mean, everybody gets along. Everybody, like Joe said, everybody's family out there. It doesn't matter about the skin color. It doesn't matter where your nationality is from. It doesn't matter.
Tell the Hawaiians that.
Your family. Your family.
And that's it, man. And it's interesting because you see that especially in even within the Asian community. Just the Asian, you get more of that on the West Coast than you do on the East Coast. But you see that just within the Asian community itself. We as a, if you want to stereotype somebody, but the Japanese and the Chinese are completely different people.
Oh yeah,
they might look the same to the outside observer.
They don't,
but they are completely different people.
They are
different race.
Yeah. It's like, to me, that just doesn't none of it makes any fucking sense with the way we're doing this. Like with So I guess I want to relate this all back to this whole thing with Jeff Saturday and talking about like how do you and have more of a constructive conversation at this point. I don't want to, it just that whole thing bothers me because if this guy can get this team back on the right track, like, that's what's really, really going to bother me about this whole thing. Whereas if he is successful and Irsay picks him over somebody like a Reggie Wayne, or from what I understand of it, Reggie Wayne loves working with him. Yep. From what I understand of it, and I'm not, inside the building or anything like that, but I mean, you're talking about you're getting old teammates together that are working together, and they're retired from actually playing the sport. But
this is awesome, and I don't think it's ever happened other than in hockey. I've seen this before. Like old teammates working together, kind of on the same staff as two assistant coaches or whatever, and it usually works. But there are a lot less coaches on a hockey team than there are on a football team, where you're dealing with 53 men spread over three position groups, essentially four actually, because the special teams unit is their own position group.
Well, gentlemen, it's been 3 hours,
so
I think I'm going to end up jumping off here. I'm going to eat, sit down, relax
I will too. I have to shower still, so I have to call it a night.
I got to call it a night. So
it was cool talking to you fellas, though.
Yep. All right, guys. If you haven't watched yesterday's Believe or the film room, feel free, have fun. The preview will be up tomorrow morning when I get up. So
we haven't done predictions.
Be good or be good, Jeff.
Is that the preview that you did already with McLeod?
Yeah.
Okay, so we saw.
Yeah,
that.
you saw it. You saw it if you watched it. Yeah. Not everybody has yet.
Okay.
All right, but no, I'm not. I'm gonna leave my predictions out today because I still feel odd with this game. I want to see consistency with the offensive line between the Raiders and the Eagles.
If we play a good game, even if we don't win, if we play a good game,
yeah,
like you're talking about. I mean, I've got no, if we lose the game to Philadelphia, but we play well,
yeah,
I don't have an issue with it. I really don't.
No, me neither.
Same.
I mean, losing to the best team in the NFC right now is not a shame.
Come on, we already beat the Chiefs, for God's sakes. We can beat.
Getting blown out though is another thing. If we look bad, that's a different story. But if we look like we play well, like you say, yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's all I really want to see is us playing good and trading punches with them. Yeah,
play good, and I don't expect to win, but like I said, I want to see good play. We have good play and we win. Oh, what a bonus that is!
Exactly.
See you, loyalists. Have a good one, bub.
Yep, I'm out too, guys. Have a good one. Talk to you later.
Y'all go.
See you guys.
See you guys, man. Yeah.
Y'all have